and field goal, whatever, it's fine. I'm totally fine. But I cope with losing with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Those 23 flavors are like so delicious. They totally wash away the pain of your college football team taking a big fat L. College football, it's a pepper thing.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with Unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Keep pounding. Panther Talk. Panthers Playbook. The Paw Print. Follow your Carolina Panthers all season with us.
The snap, handoff, Chuba Hubbard, big hole across the middle, and Hubbard Cyclones across the 40 to the 41. It's a gain of 11. It's Chuba's longest rush of the season, the Panthers' longest running play of the season.
Your home for complete Carolina Panthers coverage. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Connection, opportunity, possibility. It's what we all want. Spectrum has built a world where anything is possible, with products and services designed to work better together for a seamless connectivity experience. A connection to family and friends, a connection to education, and a connection to new opportunities. So there's no limit to how big we can dream. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
The new bonus edition Buck Scratch-Off's got a first-ever bonus game in the Outback.
You mean on the back, not Outback.
What's on the back?
The bonus game.
Then what's on the front?
Prizes up to $1 million.
I thought the game was called Bucks.
It is. Just forget it.
Crikey, mate. Don't go telling people to forget it. The whole point is for them to be remembering it.
The all-new bonus edition Buck Scratch-Offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 3.81 to 4.75. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to perks only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using the promo code Radio1000 and you'll place your first bet today. If you win, great. If not, you'll get it back as a bonus bet up to $1,000. Must be 21 plus and physically present in North Carolina. New users only must register using eligible promo code. First bet after registration must qualify. Max bonus bet $1,000. Bonus bet expires 14 days after receipt. Void where prohibited. See Caesars.com/promos for full items. Tribal Casino Gaming Enterprise is a licensed operator by the North Carolina State Lottery Commission. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
I'm Kamala Harris. Here's a few things I believe. Middle-class families, like the one I grew up in, they want common sense solutions. You want lower prices and lower taxes. I believe you want to just not get by, but you want to get ahead. We must create an opportunity economy where everyone has a chance to get a car loan, buy a home, start a business. And I believe we can make that happen.
Kamala Harris's plan? Bring down costs by cracking down on corporate price gougers. Make homeownership more affordable for families. A middle-class tax cut for 100 million Americans. And make sure billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share so you can keep more of the money you've earned.
And instead of being focused on the politics of the past, we need to be thinking about the future and how we make it better for families like yours. I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
Experience a Raleigh tradition. Head to Amedio's Italian Restaurant, a family favorite for over 60 years. From weekly specials to their famous homemade recipes, Amedio's uses only the freshest ingredients. Need a touchdown for your tailgate? Amedio's offers delicious takeout, perfect for cheering on the Wolfpack. Or they can host your private party. Amedio's even caters. Amedio's Italian Restaurant, Raleigh's Taste of Italy since 1963. Visit AmediosRestaurant.com for details.
It's Tim Donnelly for Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Hurry, sale ends September 30th, so schedule an in-home estimate at 866-90Nation or at windownation.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Murphy from the shotgun is ready, and here's the snap. Here comes pressure. They only rush 4, though. He lofts it down the middle of the field. Panko's got it along the left sideline. for the touchdown. Quayshawn Brown on the left side. Peyton Jones is the tailback. Dalmolin on the right side of the line. And from the shotgun, here's Murphy. Takes the snap. They bring pressure again. It doesn't get home. He goes for Brown. He's got it! Touchdown! In the left corner of the end zone. What a strike to grab the lead.
It's the Adam Gold Show. Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Gold. That is Victoria.
It's Friday.
Welcome to Football Friday. Is it Football Friday? Do we call it Football Friday? Are we allowed?
Can.
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, we
right?
can.
We don't even have to have a reason.
Nope.
All right, well, but we're not going to start with football. We got a lot of things to get to today. Excited for really all three levels of the program. David Teel, we're going to talk a little bit about the news of the day with the ACC. I guess allegedly, I mean it's been widely reported, negotiating revamped terms financially, not just with Florida State and Clemson, but to benefit Florida State and Clemson and probably others. But we'll also talk about JMU coming in to take on North Carolina. Over the last several years, the Dukes have been good, and we still don't know what North Carolina presents offensively. It was hard to learn anything about them offensively against Central. The offense is entirely different based on what we saw for the first three quarters against Minnesota until the Max Johnson injury. And frankly, we didn't see a great offense then. So, and I contend that we didn't learn anything against Charlotte. By the way, the Charlotte people have gone strangely silent about the 49ers. We don't know what their, how good a program, how good a team this is. The program is the program. But we don't know how good a team this is at this stage of the game. We actually, other than maybe a handful of teams across the country, we're not entirely sure yet about anybody because we just don't have enough of a fabric of the season. I think it takes like 6 weeks to really figure out, other than the obvious, Georgia's good, Ohio State's good. Who among us is sure that Miami is good? I don't know.
Question mark.
So we're starting to get an idea. Well, I think we'll have a bigger idea after Miami and South Florida this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about all of these things. I was out at Hurricanes training camp yesterday for day one, and I felt like that's where we should start. I ain't even starting with Shohei Otani going.
I know.
I don't even know what that was.
Ridiculous.
He opened up a can on the Marlins. Before we get to this, before we get to the Canes, I don't even know what to make of the fact that the fans it was against the Marlins, right?
Right.
The fans in Miami demanded a curtain call from the guy who hung 3 homers and 6 runs batted in on you.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense.
Like, I get if the guy's got a no-hit, if somebody's throwing a no-hitter, you see it. Now, you saw history yesterday because Otani went over 50 home runs. He actually went to 51 yesterday. But curtain call? Right. He ain't your player.
No.
He ain't ever coming to play for you.
He opened up a can. It was 20-4.
Yes, it was a football score. Although the 4 doesn't really make sense, but it was a football score.
It's nuts.
My gosh, there were a lot of blowouts yesterday. All right, let's get to day 2, Canes training camp. I wasn't there today. I was there yesterday. Big picture takeaway from what I saw yesterday, and I was there to witness also their fitness skate, which happened. See, I thought in years past they did those fitness skates like separate from practice. But they did that skate at the end of practice yesterday when everybody was already a little bit done. And then you saw I mean, really, guys were really laboring.
Oh, boy.
William Carrier was last in his group, and as it turned out, it wasn't so much he was fatigued as he might have gotten injured. So we're monitoring that. Did not practice today. And I know Scott Morrow, defenseman, super prospect, was absent from practice today. So that also, he left training early yesterday, and so he was not on the ice today. So those two things bear watching. All right, bigger picture takeaway. And I know Tim Donnelly, and thank you to him for sitting in this chair while I could pretend to be doing work at Canes training camp. I did. I went on with Tim. I did the sit down with Martin Necas. Sebastian Aho I thought was good. But I want to get to Necas because I am either going to be dead on or dead wrong about him. Because what we saw last year is unacceptable to Marty and unacceptable to the organization. So if that's Martin Necas, if that's what he's going to be, then I will be dead wrong. I sat there with Tripp watching the rookies practice. Tripp Tracy, our friend, Hurricanes TV radio. And I said, I don't feel like I am, but I think there are people who would listen to me talk about Necas and say that I am trying to convince myself that he can be great. But I believe he can be, and I believe he thinks he can be. And I've said this about Necas a lot. I think there is he understands the ability he's got. I think he has a commitment to being great and taking full advantage of that. And I think he wants it to be here, not anywhere else. The 2-year deal protects the team. It protects him. And I think it sets him up for success. And I think we will know in the first 2 months of this season whether or not I'm right or I'm wrong.
Pretty quickly.
Right? And it's not just me. Whether or not Necas is right or wrong, or the team is right or wrong. So I have huge expectations for him this year. And I know that theoretically the team doesn't look, they're not as good. Nobody's arguing that on paper they don't appear to be as good. But if Necas takes that step forward that he wants to take, if Andrei Svechnikov is a more consistent offensive producer, then I assume we're going to see another one of those years from Aho, and he can even take another step forward, although not necessarily point production-wise. And I think we're going to see that from Seth Jarvis, too. Then I think that there is enough improvement from within the roster where I think Carolina can be, again, one of the best teams in the league. I think they're a playoff team if it's just a baseline season. I think they're a playoff team. So I'm looking forward to that. Seth Jarvis, remember when we had Seth on a couple of weeks ago?
That was so fun.
He's great.
Great
and I
guy.
asked him, who does he not like practicing against?
Right.
And he said Slavin.
Yes.
So they do these individual battles. They throw the puck behind the net, and a defenseman. Actually, it doesn't have to be a defenseman and an offenseman, but as it turned out, it was Jarvis versus Slavin.
Of course.
Jarvis won the battle.
Oh, look at Jarvie.
And we could say, well, maybe Jacob just wasn't, Jacob. I think we're going to see that a lot.
Yeah.
Jarvis.
Hope so.
Jarvis won that battle. It was very cool. Very, very cool. I know people are excited about the rookies. I think people are talking about Bradley Nadeau. We cannot call him Nads. We can't. I'm sorry.
Please, no.
Can't do that.
New nickname, please.
Jackson Blake, who is the guy who told us that we call him Nads. and Felix Ungersorum, which is a forward that has opened a lot of eyes in the prospect tournament and even through day one of, the rookies and prospects are all kind of skating together. I don't know. First of all, Scott Morrow, even if healthy, I don't think any young defenseman is cracking the lineup unless there's an injury. I think the Hurricanes are set with their opening night lineup on the blue line. There are possibilities for young forwards, but here's what we have to understand. I'm not sure that any of the young forwards can play a full game in terms of, can you play a 200-foot game? Those are the types of rookies that generally make Rod Brindamore's team. And I'll give you two examples. One of them is Martin Necas, who in year one of Rod Brindamore, Necas made the opening night lineup at center. And 7 games in, Rod went, can't play here. Because as soon as I put him on the ice, the other team is sending like adults over the boards, and he's going to get abused. So Necas spent that whole year in the AHL, won a Calder Trophy. They won the title. So there's one example. He certainly had the offensive ability to play. He had the skating ability to play. I think he's got the head for it, but he just couldn't play a 200-foot game. Now, I know the argument is that he doesn't have that now. He has it more often than maybe you think, but not often enough for the head coach. But he didn't have it at all in his first year. And I'll give you Warren Fogle, who was, while he was not a great defensive player, he was all energy and forecheck and physicality and skating ability, and he tried hard on the defensive side of the puck, and he made the team. Rod Brindamore actually said about Warren Fogle, as he was making the team, he goes, he's a Hurricane. He plays the way we play. Are any of these 3 forward prospects that guy now? And I would argue that they're not. So it's going to be a special situation. I think one of these guys would have to absolutely light it up in the preseason to make the team based on how they would need to be used. Whether it's Nadeau, Blake, or Felix Ungersorum, can they play anything remotely resembling 200 feet? The guy who can do that the best will have the best chance to make the team. I'm not sure we're going to see that from any of them, so I think that all 3 will start the season in Chicago. But what do I know? I am literally just trying to figure out all of these things as we go forward. It does open up a greater possibility if William Carrier starts the season hurt. So we'll see. Keep an eye on that. All right. By the way, Tuesday at Tampa to open up the preseason. How on earth did the Bengals lose to the Patriots?
I know.
I watched last night and went, wait a second.
What?
Cincinnati should have won that game by accident.
Yeah.
And they did nothing. And the Patriots were pretty good as they can be offensively against Cincinnati. And I'm telling you that Cincinnati is better than the Jets in almost every single phase of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe the Patriots won that game. I know everybody we've talked to about the Bengals, well, they're trash in the beginning of the season. I get it.
Right.
The Patriots are no good.
No.
They are no good. that was my largest takeaway from watching the game last night was, how'd the Bengals lose to them at home?
Baffling.
So, Aaron Rodgers, by the way, looked very sharp in the Jets' 24-3 win. Best thing he did was throw on the run.
Yeah, he did.
All of those passes with Rodgers, either being flushed out of the pocket or intentionally rolling out of the pocket, every single one of those throws was on the money.
Yeah, his relationship with those rookies is going to be good if it keeps getting better like that.
Yeah, well, Garrett Wilson isn't even a rookie now. This is year 3?
Yeah.
Year 2 or 3. I don't even know. Whatever year it is.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be special. He's not quite there, but Mike Williams even looked like he's going to be serviceable this year.
Lazard
didn't drop the first pass thrown to him like he did,
Exactly.
was either the opener or Tennessee. But he makes scores the first touchdown. My fear about the Jets is that they didn't run the ball all that effectively, but you could tell that they've got talent there. Here's Rodgers on getting better.
Yeah, I felt great. I was, feeling real good out there. I felt good pregame, and I've been progressing. I said to you guys after week 1, it's going to be a process of continuing to extend plays once I feel more comfortable, and this was kind of the first step in playing like I know I'm capable of playing. I felt like I was, myself.
I mean, he absolutely was. They also, you could tell the Rodgers effect on the offense. I mean, aside from the fact that I can't remember the last time the Jets had not competent quarterback play, because Ryan Fitzpatrick gave them competent quarterback play. I can't remember the last time the Jets had good quarterback play.
Big difference.
I'm literally, as a cured Jets fan, but I do remember. I can't remember. Like, good quarterback play. Vinny Testaverde. And maybe Chad Pennington. Good. It was, I don't know how, Jet fans, what are you doing with your hands?
I know.
Right now. What were you doing with your hands? Easy.
Right.
Last night. Because Rodgers was legitimately good. Here's Damian Woody, a former Jet, on what we saw.
You saw everything. You saw the mobility, something that we hadn't seen, in the first couple games. You saw the pinpoint accuracy. You saw him just having complete command of the offense. Like, Scott, I just want to remind people, this Patriots defense is legit.
They were the first two games.
The first 2 games, and then Aaron Rodgers just sliced and diced, and he was just surgical tonight and completing passes to 8 different receivers. So he was just sharing the wealth with all the guys that they have on offense. And if this Aaron Rodgers continues to show up, this Jets team is going to be a contender.
Ty Conklin is going to be a Pro Bowler, the tight end. That's amazing to me. He caught I can't speak. Seemingly, he caught every big pass.
Yeah.
There were some misses from Rodgers that you could tell he was frustrated with himself, but those will, as long as he stays healthy, they'll disappear. It's kind of amazing, but he's still probably a top 5 or 6 quarterback in the entire NFL at age 40.
Yeah, he looked great.
He's mobile enough.
Yeah.
So
even on the meh throws that other quarterbacks would totally flop, he still managed to get it there.
The touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson.
Yes.
I don't know how many quarterbacks will even pretend that they can make that
just
throw.
Shows what he can do on the fly.
Yeah, and his feet were in the air when he threw it.
Right.
That's
staggering. Like some Mahomes stuff.
Yeah. Funny you bring that up. That's who I compare. To me, that's who Mahomes is.
Yeah.
He is a better version of Rodgers.
Right.
And Rodgers is the guy that kind of invented isn't the right word because he's not the first person to do it, but he's the first person to do it consistently well, where it doesn't make a difference what his body position is, what his footwork is. Great arm, incredibly accurate. The pass he completed, I think it was against the Cowboys late in the game in a playoff game, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years ago to the tight end on the sideline was one of the most staggering throws I've ever seen. Packers fans will remember. Cowboys fans will remember. All right, one more thing about the game last night. Again, the Patriots are awful.
Yes.
Drake May was allowed to get banged up in garbage time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying he got hurt, but he got hit a bunch in garbage time. Don't do that anymore.
They should not.
We learned, theoretically, the league should have learned its lesson from what happened to Bryce Young last year. I believe last year has damaged Bryce Young. By how much, I don't know. Damian Woody, what are they doing?
I don't think so. Listen, just to put this in context, the Patriots were missing a couple starting offensive linemen tonight, and it showed against this Jets front. But I think the Patriots will be best served if they continue to hold him out, because if you put him out there behind a line that's just not willing to protect, that's one way you can really kill a young man before he gets started in this league. So I think you continue to go with Jacoby Brissett, let the young man continue to watch and learn his game, and then once this roster a little bit better, then you put him out there.
I don't know how long that's going to take, but that is sensible. You have your quarterback of the future in your mind. This is our guy going forward. Let's not put him on the field and put him in, I'll just say, harm's way, even though every player in the NFL is in harm's way on every play. But if you can't protect him and you don't have the skill players to take some of the pressure off, what am I describing from last year?
The Panthers.
So
why would you not learn from our mistakes?
Just don't do it. I don't care. I know Bryce is tall enough. Not Bryce. Drake May is tall enough.
Right.
Don't have to worry. He's not.
Should be different.
He's not an Oompa Loompa. Anyway. The Andy Dalton era is now upon us. Congratulations to the Panthers. 4:05 on CBS, Panthers at Raiders. It has been a tumultuous few days for Bryce Young, who now has to watch Andy Dalton play.
I love Andy. We're super close, and I love this team. I love my teammates. So it's not hard to root for them, to try to do everything I can to help, to play my role. To try to just be around to help in whatever way I can. So really, because of those factors, it's not hard to do.
And Bryce's reaction to being benched?
Not something that I was necessarily expecting, and obviously not something that was great to hear. But I respect Coach Canales. I respect the organization. Obviously, they made the decision, and it's on me to put them in that situation. So again, right now that's the situation that it is. So I have to do everything I can to help the team in whatever way I can.
Yeah, and according to all reports, he was great as running the scout team. This ain't going to get him better because it just isn't. But that's what he was great at doing. All right, so how do things change from the perspective of wide receiver Deontay Johnson?
Go out there and keep being you and keep running the same routes and getting open. I mean, there's nothing else to it. It's just a different quarterback. I mean, they still going to put the ball in the right areas. I mean, it's just your job as a receiver, catch the ball and make a play.
We got more on the Panthers and the Raiders coming up a little bit later on. Significant weekend of ACC football. We have 2 games at noon. UNC is home to JMU. That game will be on the ACC network. Wolfpack traveling to Clemson on ABC. C.J. Bailey gets his first start. Dave Doran on the big picture, State at Clemson.
Well, I mean, they're talented. They've been in the same system, the continuity that he's had longer than me, obviously. So, they have a system. Their kids know it. So do we. We have a system. The crowd noise always on the road, and particularly when you're down there, can be a part of distracting guys and guys, not focusing on the right things with all the things around them. And so just the environment. And conversely, there's nothing better than getting a big crowd quiet, and you have to do that. You have to earn that through the way you play the game. And so we got a big challenge in front of us when you go into someone else's stadium that has, the fanfare that they do.
Yeah, Death Valley for your first collegiate start.
It's rough.
Probably doesn't have a high level of success.
No. No.
So, look, I wish C.J. Bailey well, but that is a challenging start to his conference career. We're still in fact-finding mission with the Wolfpack. We're still in fact-finding, even more so now with the new quarterback. Frankly, we're still there with Clemson, too. I know they thumped App, Maybe App ain't that good. What happened last night?
That was garbage last night. I don't know what that was. I don't know what happened last night.
When we talked to Adam Witten earlier in the week, I did say, I certainly did not expect this. It completely caught me by surprise. I did say that after getting thumped at Clemson, winning an emotional game with an in-state rival like ECU on the road, and then turning around with just 4 off days before you have to play a conference game, even though that conference game was at home, I mean, it's the formula for an issue. And you just got walked. I don't even think South Alabama's all that.
No.
So that is troublesome
it's not,
for the Mountaineers. Anyway, Duke at Middle Tennessee State, and we got ACC games to talk about. We'll bring that up with David Teel from the Richmond Times, as well as getting his thoughts on the maybe proposed revised revenue distribution plan so Florida State and Clemson will play nice. All of that is next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
Jordan Moore delivers, and the Blue Devils have the lead.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford and by Amedios.
Adam Gold for my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. A very busy, big week 3, and you can have all the fun in the world, especially if you are a brand new FanDuel customer, because all new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. Are the Chiefs on national TV every week? It seems like it. They are in Atlanta on Sunday night. I'll bet there's points in this game, but who knows? Who am I to judge? FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/AdamGold, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Hey, Shelley, I found more signs for the Walk for Hope.
Man, how's that possible? We've already put out thousands of signs.
Let's get her done, and maybe you won't leave me behind this time.
Just think. More families can join us for the Walk, Run, and Festival with food, music by Liquid Pleasure, and lots more. All at the Angus Barn on Sunday, October 13th to raise funds for mental illness research.
Don't forget, just like the sign says, go to walkforhope.com to sign up now.
Organize easy. Organize tough. Customize your work truck or van with upfit solutions from Van Products. Steel and aluminum shelving, toolboxes, data files, cabinets, drawers, conduit carriers, ladder racks, everything safe and secure. Everything built as unbreakable as you by Adrian Steel. Backed by the best warranty in the business. 3 years, 36,000 miles. Everything custom installed by Van Products so you know it's done right. From a single work rig to a fleet, choose custom installed upfit solutions from Van Products.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts.
The kick is good!
Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great, it's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go! It's bow time.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Less than an hour from now, North Carolina Director of Athletics Bubba Cunningham will join us. We'll get into a lot of the things we're about to talk with David Teel about from the Richmond Times at by David Teel on Twitter. I start with, it's kind of newsy, but I'm going to throw a joke in. The Big 12 today, David, announced that they were starting their own dedicated network. They don't really have outlets for it yet. I don't think it's going to be on your local cable package if you live in like Omaha. But it's in conjunction with Raycom. So my question is, which schools will blame John Swofford for his association? First thing I thought about. I know that's probably evil of me, but that's the first thing I thought about. How can we blame John Swofford for this?
Or Chad Swofford.
Chad Swofford, right. But John protected Raycom because of his son working for Raycom. So I figured it was going to come down to John Swofford. What do you make of the, I'm sure there are high-level discussions because it wouldn't be reported everywhere if there weren't. But what do you make of the possibility of an uneven distribution of revenue model right now being discussed between the ACC, Florida State, and Clemson?
Well, it's already uneven, Adam. They've adopted the Success Initiative,
right?
So that strayed the league away from its traditional, essentially equal shares.
Florida State punted on that, though. Florida State doesn't want any of that.
Well, they're not going to get any of that the way this season is going.
Right.
At 0-3. But the notion that they would revisit the formula in an attempt to resolve the lawsuits is an intriguing one, because this is what Clemson and Florida State, and especially Florida State most vociferously, has pushed for.
Right.
They believe their higher television ratings, and so many nuances come with ratings.
Yeah.
Your time slot, your head-to-head competition, your network designation, your opponents. So much nuance there. But without question, Florida State and Clemson draw the largest audiences consistently and have since the league formed in this particular, when they went to 15 in 2013. 15 and 14 in football. So I can't imagine that the ACC would suddenly say, the rest of the conference would say, sure, let's go back to the formula that you originally proposed. I think it would have to be somewhere in the middle. That, yeah, we'll consider TV ratings, but exactly how much of a driver it would be in the formula, to me, that's the fascinating part here. The devil's going to be in the details.
You bring up devils, so let me bring up this. Because based on reading, as much as I could about this, men's basketball would be part of this equation. That's a good way to buy Duke's vote, since they are year in and year out the number one ratings grabber, not just in ACC basketball, but college basketball across the board.
Yes, but television, the way the television revenue breakdown works, Adam, is that football is about 80%, and basketball is about 20%. So if they throw men's basketball into the ratings mix, it's going to be a fraction of what it is in football. It's essentially chump change for Duke. I think the motivation for the other schools in voting for this would be they think this is a way to get at least a 6 or 8 year period of what is essentially labor peace and bring some kind of stability back to the league, remove the black cloud that hovers over it, and, oh, by the way, save millions more in billable hours. And right? I mean, it's getting expensive. And not only that, we're all human. It's exhausting.
Yeah. I do believe the ACC's legal position is very strong. Every single attorney we've talked to has said the same thing. But I am curious about this element of it because the first thing I saw when there were talks, you see conversations about the grant of rights ending in 2030. When you saw that, what did you think about?
Well, that I thought about a couple things. Number one, would that just be the jumping off point for Florida State and Clemson?
Right.
They bide their time for 6 years and say, see you. Or there be more money involved, ACC, if they did indeed shorten the deal. I think there would almost have to be it, or why else agree to it?
That's what I said. That the TV deal would have to end at the same time as the grant of rights. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense from an ESPN perspective.
Correct. And also, it falls in line approximately with when the other conferences see their deals expire. So you have basically everyone out there on the open market simultaneously. And heck, Adam, in 6 years, the notion of ACC football or SEC football or Big Ten football may be antiquated.
Yep.
It may be to the point where football has broken away into the Fox conference and the ESPN conference or the Apple conference, whoever wants in, and you've got, let's just say, 60 to 75 schools who are willing to up the ante, pay their $22 million or whatever it's going to be in revenue sharing and plus NIL and 105 scholarships and just go for it. And then everyone else can return to conference and geographic sanity for every other sport, including men's and women's basketball.
David Teel, Richmond Times, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show by David Teel on Twitter. Because I am in the same place. I don't think college football is going to be recognizable as we see it today 5 years from now. I think it's going to completely separate from everything. It's probably the best way to satisfy the amount of money that sport generates for itself and the universities, and because it should be kept separate if we're going to keep the arrangements, the associations, the conferences for football as they are. It makes no sense, zero sense, to have any of your Olympic sports structured as they are in terms of conference alignment. No sense for Stanford and Cal and SMU to be in the same league as Pitt, Boston College, Duke, and North Carolina. Zero sense. Competitively, Stanford, Cal, Duke, Carolina, they align very well. But
absolutely, and academically, and that's the way presidents think.
Yes, and it was funny when the Pac-12 added a whole bunch of those state schools, people just went, "Oh, Stanford and Cal should go back." You think
no.
You think Cal and Stanford want to associate with San Diego State?
Yeah, that's not happening. But Adam, your notion that in 5 years or 6 years college football we won't recognize it. That's why having Bubba on is so fascinating. I'm eager to hear what he tells you because he was part of that group that floated this possibility of a super essentially a super conference and divided them into regions, and there were some fascinating groupings there. And it was the turnkey folks, and there were some NFL folks, and Bubba was on there, and I believe Kent Severud from Syracuse was on there. And I applaud Bubba for being a part of that and exploring some options and some possibilities that could make all this work in a more efficient and sane manner.
Here's what's interesting also about Bubba Cunningham. David Teel is joining us. I have a couple of more questions for you, but this is what I find fascinating about him, and in many ways I think he and Jim Phillips are very similar, is that to their core, they are collegiate model believers. And so this is such a departure for what Bubba Cunningham envisions college sports to be about. Same thing with Jim Phillips, who might be even more to his core collegiate model. So this has to be, in some ways, painful to see what they love, what they grew up with, and what it's become. And it was inevitable that it was going to get here, especially as the NCAA and conferences denied the financial, trappings to athletes. I mean, there's thousands of examples of it. But once this started, and once they allowed NIL, and they had no choice to be part of it, we were always going to get here. If they were smart, if the NCAA was smarter 10 years ago, we might have a more sane system today, but we simply do not. Can I ask you an actual football question?
How about it?
Is Carolina in for anything with JMU coming to town?
I'm going to find out when I'm in the press box at noon tomorrow at Kenan Stadium. And I think JMU can hang for a while.
Okay.
If I'll tell you what, if this was last season, 100% they'd be in for a fight.
Right.
That JMU team last season was all that, and they were superbly coached, and they had big-time talent. But this group, it's hard to tell. New coaching staff, Bob Chesney has won wherever he's been. But he's got 58 new guys on the roster, including 31 transfers. Yeah. Some of them came with him from Holy Cross. And, when you only beat FCS Gardner-Webb 13-6
right
in your home opener, that gives me pause. But that said, the Dukes beat Charlotte far more convincingly than Carolina did. So, and they did it on the road.
Yeah.
And Carolina was a Kenan. So you've got that. But I just imagine that eventually a Marion Hampton is going to go for 200 plus tomorrow. It's just going to be too much for my alma mater.
Yeah, it's not the JMU we've come accustomed to the last couple of years. I think North Carolina with Jacoby Criswell, and I know Mac Brown has said we're going to use two quarterbacks. He may, based on the scoreboard, but if the game is tight, I think Jacoby Criswell plays because he gives them the best chance to at least pretend they have a downfield passing game. And if without it, then you could put everybody on the line of scrimmage. And we saw in the first couple of games, Marion Hampton had really nowhere to run. They finally got it cranked up against Central, and that game was not easy to put away. It was 17-10 at the start of the fourth quarter. So that's my one worry about North Carolina is that they won't have enough of an offense. I mean, I think they can beat JMU, but I don't think they have enough of an offense to beat other good ACC teams. First of all, before I ask you who has surprised you, what level of confidence you have in Miami going to South Florida?
Oh, I think that's a very tricky game.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, because I think there's a good chance the Canes are looking ahead to the following Friday night in their ACC home opener against Virginia Tech. And number two, South Florida's good.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
Ask Alabama.
Yeah, right. Alabama the last 2 years, dude. Yep. And Alex Golesh has really done a nice job there. They've got the Brown kid at quarterback, who gives them some wiggle and athleticism at that position. And they're going to have like 55,000 plus at Raymond James prime time on ESPN. I think that place is going to be wired for sound. It's a very tricky game for Miami.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. 17-point favorite on the road with Mario Cristobal as your head coach.
Big number.
Man, I'm trying hard not to go to my app. Final thing.
Yes.
Who else has surprised? Who has surprised you in a positive way in the league?
I didn't watch a lot of Ohio State last year. All I heard about was how dissatisfied that group of fans was about Kyle McCord.
Right.
Guy looks like he can play, like a whole bunch. So he has surprised me. So in that regard, Syracuse, and then another transfer quarterback who no one saw coming is Eli Holstein at Pitt.
Right.
I mean, my goodness, back-to-back double-digit comebacks against Big 12 opponents. Pitt's 3-0. I don't know where they were picked in preseason, but it was low. So those would be the two that come first to mind.
How many times have you used the phrase "holy cow" about Eli Holstein? I'm just curious. Because it's natural. Holy cow. Mm-hmm. Holstein, holy cow. Feel free, make it your own. David Teel at @David_Teel on Twitter, Richmond Times. Welcome to Chapel Hill in advance for tomorrow's game, and I appreciate your time, sir. We'll talk soon.
Thanks much, Adam. Be good.
You got it. David Teel here on the Adam Gold Show. When we come back, we have the Panthers in Las Vegas on Sunday. Keys to the game in Panthers paw print. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that getting to know you is the best way to protect what you love most. We have friendly agents in every county to help you prepare for the unexpected. And when life doesn't go as planned, our award-winning claims team will be with you every step of the way. Find a local agent today at ncfbins.com. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Some call it overplanning. At Alternative Power, we call it foresight. Be prepared for the next power outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Generac, it's not just a generator, it's a power move. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
ACT Construction Equipment is proud to be your certified local Takeuchi dealer in Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Asheville, Wilmington, and Myrtle Beach. Takeuchi has long been a world leader in the compact construction industry. Let ACT Construction Equipment help you find the right machine for the job. Our full line of excavators, track loaders, and attachments are designed for low maintenance and high productivity. Visit us online at actce.com to schedule a demo. ACT Construction Equipment, your authorized Takeuchi dealer.
NC Medicaid is for people just like me.
Adults who don't have children.
People who serve.
People who do the heavy lifting.
Child care teachers. Full healthcare coverage at low or no cost.
Doctor's visits, emergency rooms, and prescriptions.
So if you applied before and didn't get it, apply again.
NC Medicaid covers more people than ever before.
Get full healthcare coverage at low cost, no monthly fees, and $4 max copays. NC Medicaid is for more people. See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
You don't need a 4-year degree to have a rewarding career that makes a difference in people's lives every day. As a public power line worker, you'll build and maintain a locally owned and operated electric system to keep the lights on in your community. 4 months in a community college program provides the training you need to begin your career as an apprentice line worker in public power. And being a local government employee in North Carolina comes with excellent benefits. To learn more about line worker and other public power careers, visit electricities.com.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different. Talk different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is Adam Gold.
Maybe at some point after repeated losing, David Tepper will get out of the way.
Yeah, it's going to be on my Christmas list every year until it happens. So, there.
I wish I could give you that.
I wish I
could put a bow around that.
Oh,
for you,
me
Victoria.
too.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Do we have a reason why we went KT Tunstall here? I love this song, by the way.
Yeah, no,
it's a great song.
I just love this song.
Yeah.
Felt like playing it.
She's dynamite.
Yeah.
All right, we got a lot of things to do. We have to announce the 8 finalists, if you will, for the GOAT, greatest hurricane of all time. We'll get to that a little bit later on. Bubba Cunningham will join us in about 20 minutes, a little bit more than 20 minutes from now. We will talk with UNC's Director of Athletics. Right now, we have the Panthers and the Raiders on Sunday afternoon, and it's time to get you keys of the game, Panthers paw print style. So dramatic. Are you ready, Panthers paw print fan?
Well,
Victoria's got your keys.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for this game, but let's give it a try, shall we? So first off, I think most importantly, Andy Dalton needs to throw it down the field. Engage the receivers, because I don't think the Raiders are going to be expecting it or know what it'll look like, because we have no idea what that'll look like ourselves.
Downfield passing, check. Let's see.
Yeah, so that feels like a no-brainer. Also, I think they should be bold in their play calling. If go for it on 4th down, see what works. I don't know. I think they should just be a little bold in their play calling. Also be smart in it, but yes, definitely be bold. And last but not least, defense, cover Davante Adams.
Yes, somebody introduce yourself.
Yeah, please cover Davante Adams. He is their weapon. So, woo!
All right, so if I could sum up,
yes,
downfield passing,
please,
not horizontal passing, not behind the line of scrimmage, all
or
game.
Backwards, yes,
or backwards. Yeah, that's good. Don't be so risk averse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just like going for it on 4th down is one thing, but first of all, we'll get to what I was going to say in a second, but yeah, don't be afraid. What are we protecting at this point? I mean, we're not like, oh man, if we just win this game, we're right back. Like, no, this team is not making the playoffs.
Right.
So establish something, as Dave Canales keeps talking about, and yes, this is a big game for J.C. Horn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's been great for 2 weeks for JC. So we talk about, well, he's one of those guys. He's one of those cornerbacks. Well, he's got to be that cornerback. And when you play a player like Devontae Adams, it's your opportunity to be that cornerback.
Exactly.
So
with your big contract.
Yes. What I've said about JC or about this team is that I would make a list of all my assets, and I would come shopping at NFL. Theoretically, JC Horn's their biggest asset. It would normally be Derek Brown, but he's injured. So you're not going to move him now because he's injured. But JC Horn is movable. I hate to say this if you're a Panthers fan, but this is what amounts to a startup, I think. So there, be aggressive. All right, when we come back, we'll run it back. We'll talk about college and pro football and the Canes next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
You like shortcuts when you drive, right? You like to shave off 2, 3, 4 minutes in your travels to work. How about in your day? Would you like 5 minutes back? How about never having to put contact lenses in your eyes again? How about never having to clean contacts? Go through the time to buy new contacts, replacement lenses, prescription sunglasses, any of that. Travers LASIK. Dr. Lori Travers took all of those time-wasting things away from me about a dozen years ago. She took me from 2250 to 20/20 vision, 5 minutes per eye, totally painless, back to work the very next day, and 2 years zero-interest financing is available. Call now. 919-510-6830. 919-510-6830. TraversLASIK.com. Somebody texted me the other day, is it a real thing? I said, absolutely. I have never looked back. Pardon the pun. Travers LASIK and Dr. Lori Travers. 919-510-6830. TraversLASIK.com.
The new bonus edition Buck Scratch-Off's got a first-ever bonus game in the Outback.
You mean on the back, not Outback.
What's on the back?
The bonus game.
Then what's on the front?
Prizes up to $1 million.
I thought the game was called Bucks.
It is. Just forget it.
Crikey, mate. Don't go telling people to forget it. The whole point is for them to be remembering it.
The all-new bonus edition Buck Scratch-Offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 3.81 to 4.75. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
You know Diamonds Direct for their exquisite diamonds and fine jewelry. What about luxury watches? With a hand-picked collection by the industry's top timepiece experts, skip the waiting list and get the timepiece you've been eyeing right away. And this month only, enjoy 0% interest for 5 years on all the top brands. Imagine owning a $15,000 luxury watch for just $250 a month. Spread your payments over 5 years with zero interest on approved credit. Diamonds Direct, where you can shop direct for diamonds and watches.
Bobby Joe absolutely hated her job.
Can't hate that job any more than I do.
So, time for one of those fancy tech schools?
No, I could never afford that. I'm going to Sharky's.
Sharky's?
Yeah, no better place to relax. Great food, cold beer, good whiskey, darts, billiards.
So now you love your job?
No, I still hate my job, but I loves me some Sharky's. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, everybody loves Sharky's. Sharky's Place, one of the best neighborhood bars in the world. 5800 Durley Road by the Shell Station.
The North Carolina Courage is the only professional women's soccer club in the world to bring home gold, silver, and bronze medals this year. And you could win a season ticket package including 4 tickets to every home game in 2025. Visit WRAL.com and search Courage to enter.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Tom Kelly's carbon fiber mountain bike. Because more than riding his carbon fiber mountain bike, Tom loves telling people about his carbon fiber mountain bike. Friends, family, even a local barista knows about his carbon fiber mountain bike. And that's why Tom's carbon fiber mountain bike, if you haven't heard about it, is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Anytime you have a player injured, the players around him need to play better. And it's definitely going to be an 11-man football thing. You can't put it all on one player to do something in his first real start, I guess you would say. And so, yeah, proud of the way the guys battled in the second half all the way around.
And as you said, the pick six could not have come at a better time. Did Coach Gibson decide to bring a little bit more pressure there in the third quarter?
Yeah, we just decided to get into man-to-man defense and start bringing guys left and right. So he just locked them down.
Always smart to run the interception return for a touchdown play when you're on defense. I don't know why teams don't run it more. I would run it all the time. I'd try to run it every play. What's wrong with that? It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold, Victoria producing the program. Bubba Cunningham in 15 minutes. We will get to the news of the day, the fact that the ACC is in negotiations at some degree, or to some degree, with Florida State and Clemson to kind of revise the revenue distribution plan, if for no other reason, just to keep everybody happy. I've said this before about Florida State and Clemson, more so about Florida State because they were the impetus for all of this. Clemson was just kind of biding their time, not making a stink. And then a couple of months after Florida State filed their lawsuit, after about a year and a half of barking about it, Clemson filed theirs. Matter of fact, the last time we had Bubba Cunningham on, I don't know how long ago it goes, before Florida State filed their lawsuit.
Yeah, that was the barking comment.
Right, that was like, essentially, shut up, play nice, and when the deal is over, go where you want.
Yes.
But right, it's time for you to just shut up and be a good, a good teammate. Again, I don't remember exactly the way he said it, but that's the gist of it. And it made some news. I mean, it got picked up in a lot of places, which, whatever. Maybe that's why he hasn't come on since. I have no idea.
Maybe.
Actually,
he should come on more, so it will.
Yeah, it's good for us. Maybe not so good for him.
Yeah.
Actually, we just for some reason just never connected. We have a great relationship with Bubba. So we'll talk to him about those matters as well as some other things. They got a big football game coming up and a lot of things going on around campus. So Bubba Cunningham at 1:15 today. Right now I got a lot of things to do, so let's run it back. I started the show with hockey. I want to bring up the Canes here. Day 2 of training camp. I wasn't there. I will delve into some things and, kind of bring you some notes at the end of the show about this. But my big takeaways from yesterday were I'm kind of optimistic. There were 2 injuries that happened yesterday. We don't know the extent of them. William Carrier, who was brought in theoretically to be the replacement for Jesper Fost, and that's where he lined up yesterday on the right side of Jordan Stahl and Jordan Martinook. And it looked to me like it happened during the skate test at the end of practice, and it wasn't that he was last. It was that he looked like it really labored to skate. So he did not practice today. Also, Scott Morrow, who was practicing with the rookies, he also did not practice today, and we don't know the extent of those injuries. Hopefully, they're nothing major. Morrow was in street clothes, and he was present. So who knows? Maybe it's just a pulled muscle or something like that. But I'm otherwise optimistic about what I saw, and I mentioned this yesterday, Jesperi Kotkaniemi looks like he is in better shape than he has been. Not that he's been in bad shape, because none of these guys are in bad shape. But he looks leaner. I thought there was a noticeable increase in speed to his game yesterday. And I am not trying to sell anybody on Jesperi Kotkaniemi because, as you all know, I think Jack Drury's the better player. But there's a reason why Drury was a second-round pick and Kotkaniemi was a third-round pick, or the third overall pick in the same draft. So there's something there with Kotkaniemi. Can he unlock it? It's not that the team can unlock it, because no player has gotten the opportunity based on their level of production and play like Kotkaniemi has gotten. No team has given this. And in some ways, for instance, I'll just bring up the Vincent Trocheck example. Trocheck could have looked at that and gone, why did he get that deal that I should have gotten? Total revisionist history, but you can make the argument that Trocheck isn't here because Kotkaniemi got an 8-year deal based on hope. Again, a lot of factors go into it, but that doesn't change this. Kotkaniemi looks like he should be a better player.
That's good.
And maybe that's for him. That's for him to unlock. Best case scenario, not that he becomes the third best player out of that draft class, because Andre was second in that draft, and we need more from Andre. But best case scenario is that Kotkaniemi becomes a good player, like legitimately good. Not flashes of good, but legitimately good. And I thought yesterday, I thought there was some, I saw some positive things anyway. All right, real quick, voting for the greatest hurricane of all time changes in this round. Remember, with the first round, we had a bracket.
Yes,
we've exploded the bracket. It was a one-time bracket. To vote, you must be a subscriber to the fan newsletter. I invite you to do that.
Exactly. Use multiple email addresses.
We have links posted to all of our fan social feeds, so check it out there. Newsletter subscribers who vote will also earn a chance to win a pair of tickets to the Carolina-Dallas game on November 25th.
That'll be good.
Absolutely. You will hate Dallas Cowboys fans.
You mean Stars?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're football brain.
Can we edit that out?
Yeah.
Let's edit that out.
Well, okay.
We should edit that
Here,
out.
hang on.
All right. Thank you. Well, we started with 16 players. I'm floored. We started with 16. Here are the 8 remaining. Rod Brindamore defeated Jeff Skinner. Eric Stahl defeated Artur Zerbe. Sebastian Aho defeated Ray Whitney. I'd like to know the score of that because Ray Whitney, to me, is a top 6 all-time Hurricane. And so is Aho. Justin Williams defeated Teuvo Teravainen. Ron Francis defeated Brett Hedican. Cam Ward defeated Jordan Stahl. Jacob Slavin defeated Glenn Wesley. 2 very similar players on and off the ice. And Eric Cole in the only upset, I guess, because Cole was seeded 9 and Jeff O'Neill was seeded 8. Eric Cole advanced. Now, you can vote for your the 4 best out of that 8. And the 4 highest vote getters will advance to the semifinals. Vote for your 4 best. I am not telling you that the 4 best are Rod Brindamore, Eric Stahl, Sebastian Aho, and Justin Williams. I'm not telling you that.
Right.
I'm just saying that that's who I'd vote for.
Exactly.
I'm just saying that's who I'd vote
Ditto.
for. But I'm not saying that those are the 4 best.
Sure.
I'm just saying that those are the 4 I would vote for.
They would get mine.
All right. Significant weekend ahead of ACC football. You heard Dave Doran at the beginning of this segment talking about the defense getting after it. Their defense better get after it. The chances of NC State being really good offensively at Clemson, I don't think are great from this standpoint. Because I don't believe they will be able to run the ball effectively against the Tigers. If they can, then I like State's chances to put 24 to 30 points up on the board and make this a game. And by saying that, I mean give them a chance to win. But it's only if they can run the football. And maybe that means C.J. Bailey's got to be a major part of their run offense to make it more of a better math problem for the Wolfpack. But they just haven't blocked well enough in the run game, I think, to bother Clemson. But NC State, if they bring it defensively, I'm just not sure what the Tigers are as an offense. So, to me, this is going to determine if NC State can be the defense, a better version of the defense that they were against Western, obviously, a better version of the defense they were early against Louisiana Tech. If they can be a good defense, then I give them a shot. But I really think it starts with can they run the football? If they can't run the football, I just don't see them scoring more than 10 points at Clemson. And I think Clemson will accidentally score 20.
Yeah, fall into it.
Right. I mean, that's not a knock on State. That's with State playing good defense.
Yeah.
Because if your offense can't provide you, like when Clemson played Georgia, it wasn't that Georgia blew them out to score 34. It's that ultimately Clemson wore down because their offense was helpless against Georgia's defense. So to avoid that, State's got to be able to stay on the field offensively. If they can do that, I give them a legit chance to make this a game. But if they can't run it, they can't stay on the field, I think the potential is for something like 30-10.
Unfortunately, I can see that.
Right. That's. But if they can run it, then I think this is a game into the fourth quarter. I hope that will be the case. All right, we're going to take a break. Bubba Cunningham, Director of Athletics at UNC, will join us next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Pack Therapy is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. It's Tim Donnelly from 99.9 The Fan alongside legendary Wolfpack play caller Mike Glennon.
Every episode of Pack Therapy is your chance to get dialed in with inside information on your team.
We'll set you up for every Wolfpack game all season long.
And we'll break down every contest, what went right and what could have worked better.
Plus, special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
You've heard about the Last Chance Saloon, right? How about this last chance offer from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook? All FanDuel customers, not new customers, all customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. Don't want to watch the Panthers play at Vegas? You can watch any of the other 4 o'clock games. And there are many of them, including Detroit, Arizona. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Download America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold for FanDuel. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
This is an announcement to all United States vehicle owners who own a 2003 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire, or no warranty coverage at all. With a struggling economy and the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering an affordable, low-cost vehicle coverage plan to the general public. As of today, you could be one of millions of drivers that now may qualify to have your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. You pick your plan. You pick your deductible. You even pick the repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage is included. Get your vehicle protected now and save your wallet from costly vehicle repairs. A toll-free number has been established for you to call for your free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number to call is 800-298-9383. 800-298-9383. Again, that's 800-298-9383. Coverage, deductibles, and claims may vary. For details, go to endurancewarranty.com.
Ready to make memories and support a tremendous mission? Hi, this is Mike Maniscalco. I would love for you to join me for St. Jude's Triangle Walk Run, presented by Window World of Raleigh and Fayetteville, Saturday, September 21st. We're going to have some awesome fun while we raise money to help find cures for kids. Start a team, join a team, or participate as an individual, virtually or in person. Download the St. Jude Walk Run mobile app in your app store or visit fundraisingstjude.org. I'll see you there.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
There is a ton going on in the world of intercollegiate athletics, which really just means today ends in a Y. As we welcome into the Adam Gold Show, North Carolina Director of Athletics, Lawrence Bubba Cunningham. I call you Mr. C when I speak to other people about you, and then it sends me into a Happy Days feel, because you and I are about the same age. When I say Happy Days, I mean, other than Arthur Fonzarelli, who do you think about?
Well, part of the reason I go by Bubba is because my middle name is Richard, and I did not want to be Richie Cunningham in the height of Happy Days, so that's part of the reason I stayed with Bubba.
All right, well, you know, that works. Noon start for the 3-0 Tar Heels against JMU on Saturday. So what time does the game day 5K run 2-mile power walk start?
7 a.m. 7 a.m. at Fleet Feet over in Carborough.
Okay.
And then we'll jog through campus very slowly or walk the 2-mile route, and we'll be ready to go by 7:30.
All right, so you say you're in a slow jog. You don't have a target time to beat?
No, my target time each time is to, as my kids say, don't get a snake bite, which means I pull a calf muscle or something.
Do you listen to music when you run, or is this a social event for you?
It's a social event.
Okay.
We generally just chat along the way, and I ask people to talk to me so I don't have to talk, because I can't talk and run at the same time without breathing. I'd just be dying out there.
I am 100% with you. You and I are on the same page there. All right, I hate to start our conversation with a newsy, a newsy chat. I think the last time we talked, and I will paraphrase here, so this is not a direct quote, you basically told FSU to pipe down and be a good teammate. And that created, it was the news of the day, and I appreciated the candor. But the latest is that the league is discussing modifications to the revenue distribution model that would give high achievers, brand name schools, which probably in many ways benefits you, that draw more attention, a few more dollars. Without getting too far into the weeds on this, how do you feel about an uneven distribution model?
Well, I'm going to have to choose my words more carefully this time than I did last time.
You did a great job. I loved it.
I think I got a little loose last time. I do think it is. I have to admit, it is a bit unfortunate that we have moved away from more of a collegiate or collegial model in college athletics. I think I've referenced this a number of times. I thought one of the really, really good decisions that the NCAA made, it's probably 25 years ago now, was when they signed the $1 billion basketball contract, 50% went into participation in the tournament, and the other half went into sports sponsorship and scholarships that you award. And I thought that was a really good message, and it was a distribution of the income into values that we thought were important. What we've evolved to in the last 25 years is a society that really values, if I generate the money, I should get it. And that's what this is, that if you have a brand that's significant, that the money should flow to you. And the challenge with that is you have fewer elite teams and fewer elite players when you do that. I know it's socialism, not capitalism. When you spread the money out and create competitive equity, you have more competitive equity when you also have financial equity. And so this is moving in a professional model. So while I don't think it's a great thing for college athletics in general, it's the direction we're headed, and we're going to be fully supportive of it because I do believe that we do have one of the best brands, we have one of the best programs, and we will receive the benefit of that type of revenue distribution model.
Yeah, especially if they include men's basketball, women's basketball, heck, the Olympic sports. But if they include the two high-profile sports, football and men's basketball, in this, it certainly would benefit you. Heck, it almost buys Duke's vote too, as well, because we all know what kind of a national. Not to bring up Duke while I'm talking to Bubba Cunningham, North Carolina athletic director, but I think you and I spoke to Jim Phillips about this, I don't know, about a month ago. In our heart of hearts, we wish that the model, I was never a total believer in the collegiate model. I thought that athletes should always have been able to realize their name, image, and likeness, their value in the marketplace. I don't know if you remember this, we did a town hall, gosh, this is 12 years or so ago. I think it was pretty soon after you became the athletic director. And by the way, almost 13th anniversary to you in November, will be 13 years.
Well, thank you.
And I think we had a little bit back and forth about the collegiate model versus letting the athletes earn money based on who they are. But I've always been a fan of that, but at the same time trying to maintain what the college system looked like. And it's completely gone off the rails at this point, and there's no going back. I mean, you're right, it is a professional model. And I just don't know that there's anything that you can do about it. I wish there was, but there isn't. Let me just ask one thing about, I guess, the rumors, because we don't know anything that's in this this negotiation. Because they're talking about shortening the grant of rights that goes along with this from 2036 to 2030. And who knows what this number would ultimately be. But if there is such a plan to shorten the grant of rights, doesn't it also have to come with a complete revision of the television deal for ESPN? Just looking at it from their perspective, why would ESPN do this? Because it also protects them. So don't those two things have to go hand in hand?
Yeah, and I'm a bit uncomfortable trying to speculate on something I really don't know anything about. But I will say that the amount of money that the schools in the ACC receive and the length of the agreement are the two sticking points that feel like is what handicaps the league. So any modifications to those two items would certainly benefit the league, but I actually believe it would benefit ESPN as well, because we're all partners in this.
Right.
The league is a partner, the school's the partner, ESPN's a partner, and if everyone thinks your agreement isn't very good, why wouldn't you do what you can to make it better? And if those adjustments make it better, then I'm all for it.
Hey, if I were ESPN, I'd love the agreement because it keeps everybody together till 2036. If you keep going back to the market, that from an ESPN perspective, the number probably goes up. I would love the agreement, but I guess there is a fear that people just go off the reservation.
Well, there's two active court cases.
Yeah.
You're assuming you know the outcome of those court cases.
True.
So it does moderate their risk if they make a change.
Bubba Cunningham is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. In my conversations with Jim Phillips, he seems very confident. And, I mean, every lawyer I have talked to about this seems very confident that the ACC's position is the stronger position, but it's also beneficial to maintain peace and, like, happy, clients, happy customers, happy partners, create more, I don't know, a kumbaya feeling. I mean, it might be beneficial to everybody in the league, even if a few more dollars go your way, go Clemson's way, go Florida State's way.
Yeah. Well, certainly those three schools will feel good. No, you're right. You're right. But I also, all these lawsuits are in three different states too.
Right.
And so, I'm not a lawyer, but every once in a while I read these articles and think, well, gosh, it looks like the home team's going to win in all three lawsuits.
I don't understand why there's a home court advantage, like literally a home court advantage in this, because the law should be the law, but you just never know. This is also a court question, so to speak, but it's not really. Mia Hamm is giving the commencement address in the spring. So given that, there's going to be some sort of a settlement in House versus the NCAA. That's where, for people who don't know, ultimately, there was one agreed to, but it was denied by the judge, where upwards of $20 million would be set aside to directly pay players. So, assuming that there will be some sort of a settlement, how do you go about protecting Olympic sports, women's sports, from being impacted negatively?
Well, I think Title IX does that. I think that Title IX has provided incredible growth and opportunities for women's programs all over the country, and they'll be protected. I have a little bit more concern about men's Olympic sports.
Okay. In
this new revenue share model, but there will be some conflict on the revenue share between Title IX and potentially Title VII if we get to a compensation model. I think that the revenue share itself will have to navigate through the Department of Education, and there's no clear guidance on that. A lot of attorneys will say, if the money's flowing to the university and then flowing back out to students, it needs to be equitable. It's interesting that most of the NIL activity in the commercial space seems to accrue more toward men's athletes. I mean, there's a handful of elite female athletes that have been extraordinarily successful in NIL. But we all know that the collectives really aren't true NIL activities. That is a modified pay-per-play model. And I think that's where the questions will, and that's quite frankly where the next set of lawsuits are going to come from.
Yeah, and this is what, it leads me to this, and I don't want to spend a lot of time, and we're almost out of time anyway, talking about like these types of issues, but it seems to me that the best way to handle all of these situations, it might be initially complicated, but the best way to do it is to simply allow for the fact that the athletes are de facto employees, let them be declared as such, and collectively bargain, even if we have to collectively bargain with football separate from basketball, separate from field hockey, and create different agreements. But that might be the way to ward off lawsuits, antitrust and otherwise, and create a system that both parties, university and players, can benefit from.
I think you're right. I believe that at some point we're going to get to collective bargaining. Most of us, I shouldn't say most of us, the handful of ADs that I've talked to believe the sooner we get there, the better. And I think the ideal would be to create a separate category for student athletes that they could collectively bargain, be represented, but not be considered employees. And what that special status is, I don't know. But to me, that would be the ask of Congress. We want to have a national governing body. We want to have national competition. We want to preserve Olympic sports. We want to preserve college sports. But there's a subset of students that we really believe should be treated differently, and they should be allowed to collectively bargain. And that would be the push that I would have.
One more serious question, then a little bit of fun, and then we'll say goodbye to Bubba Cunningham. North Carolina Director of Athletics, and good luck against JMU coming up this weekend, and good luck on your game day 5K. You have a tennis player, Reese Brantmeyer, currently suing the NCAA over their rule prohibiting accepting prize money for performing in pro tennis events. She could give up eligibility and take the prize money, and other athletes, by the way, are in the same position, not just at UNC, but all over the country. But that seems bad for all parties. What is the difference between Wilson sponsoring her for tennis and earning money from the tournament for her performance?
Yeah, I don't really understand the distinction either. And as you know, and there's multiple examples all over the country of professional athletes participating in college sports.
Right.
You know, we had Houston Summers a few years ago, was a professional baseball player that came back and was on our track team. And so I think we're all past that now. I do think, could you have, things that we were trying to suggest to the USTA or to the US Open. Could she become a spokesperson and receive NIL from the USTA, not promoting the US Open itself, but be a spokesperson for tennis,
right,
and be compensated in that amount? I think over time, I think she'll likely prevail, and I think there'll be ways to compensate college kids above and beyond their training expenses, which are somewhat nebulous anyways. Again, this is all, I felt like this was a lawsuit that could have been avoided had we worked through the AMA portion of the NCAA more effectively, but it just didn't happen. And then, the family got frustrated and said, okay, we'll see how this holds up in court.
Yeah, the NCAA's record in court is not outstanding. Premier League teams have come onto UNC's campus in each of the last 2 summers. I was there last summer when Wrexham and Chelsea played. I was out of town for Celtic and Manchester City this summer. Have you become a supporter of a Premier League side?
Have I personally?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, I followed a little bit. I was over in, this is 10 years ago. I was over in London, went to a Man U Arsenal game. Ooh. So I like those 2 teams, but I really haven't picked a team. I've got 28 teams here that I follow more closely than anyone over there.
Understood. It is infectious, though. I became a Liverpool supporter about 3 years ago, and it's in my blood now. I can't get rid of it.
Well, so you have to get up at 4 a.m. and go to a brewery and watch a game.
I know. Luckily, I have Peacock. I can watch it in my house. And the earliest match is 7:30. It's perfect. I'm up early anyway.
Okay.
But I don't know. We'll have to have that conversation again. I know you got 28 teams, but there's always room for a 29th. Bubba Cunningham, North Carolina Director of Athletics. Always good to catch up. I appreciate your time, sir. We will talk again very soon.
Appreciate it. Good to talk to you again, Adam. Thanks again for the call.
He didn't seem like he could be convinced to become a Premier League fan.
No, not really.
It's like, nah, dude,
I'm good.
No, I can't.
Mm-mm.
So, I don't know. It hit me a certain type of way. Honestly, it was a little bit like my first experience going to a Dead show.
Oh, yeah.
I totally get why people don't like the Grateful Dead.
Sure.
Totally understand it. It just all depends on how it hits you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's a lot of dependence there.
All right. Shohei Otani yesterday.
Woo, balled out.
Well, yeah, I mean, aside from the game, he was like 6 for 6 with 3 home runs and 10 runs batted. It's just an insane day.
Mm-hmm.
I remember at the beginning of the season, Elliot Johnson, who comes on and talks baseball with us, all year long, and we'll talk to him next week. But I asked him, could Shohei could he, because he's not pitching, because he's rehabilitating from elbow surgery, it hasn't bothered him to swing a bat, obviously. But could Otani take his game to, another level? And the answer that Elliot gave was, well, no, because he's not that good of a hitter. He's a great hitter, but he's not that good of a hitter. And I'm not saying this to poke fun at Elliot Johnson, because in his past, he had never been this otherworldly. But pointing out the numbers, I mean, it is similar to what it was last year, to be honest. So he's really not doing anything that he didn't do last year. It's actually his overall numbers were slightly lower this year than they were last year. But nobody in baseball had ever done 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases at the same time. Ever. In fact, here's some players that have never hit 50 home runs. I've brought this up before. Hank Aaron has never hit 50 home runs. So he has, like he still has that opportunity. Never hit 50 home runs. Frank Robinson hit over 500 home runs in his career and is a Hall of Famer. Never hit 50 home runs in a season. Albert Pujols never hit 50 home runs in a season. Nor did Reggie Jackson. You know, you're talking about a short list of some of the greatest hitters of all time. Guys who have never stolen 50 bases in a season. Derek Jeter never stole 50 bases in a season. Not that he was a burner. Paul Molitor, who did steal a lot of bases in his career, never stole 50 bases in a season. Willie Mays never stole 50 bases in a season. Otani's got 51 stolen bases. 51 home runs, 51 stolen bases, 120 runs batted in, 294 average, 629 slugging percentage, and an OPS of 1,005. That number is actually less than last year. Of course, he's been up to bat more because last year he didn't bat as many times because he pitched. And on days where he was pitching, he either didn't bat, sometimes he stayed in the game as a DH, or whatever. He just didn't always, get into the lineup. This year, basically been in the lineup every day. 150 games, including last night. 51 home runs, but the first player ever to do 50-50. 40-40, we're like, nobody's ever going to do that. And then players started doing it. I think Jose Canseco did it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Howard Johnson of the Mets might have done it. But we've had guys do it. Bobby Witt, shortstop for the Royals, just went 30-30, I think, for the second straight year. Shohei Otani laughs at 30-30. 30-30 by, mid-July.
I know.
So it's just a remarkable, remarkable season for Otani, who, again, next year will also add pitching. So I know that there's been some talk it's the greatest individual season ever. To a certain extent, yes, and then no, it isn't. When you talk about in relation to the rest of the league, there was a time, this is no joke, the first time Babe Ruth hit more than 50 home runs, I forget the years, 1924, 1925, when Ruth hit 54 home runs, he hit more home runs than every other team. Process that for 1 second. One guy hit more home runs than every other team hit individually.
It's huge.
Yeah, that's at a different level. But Otani is one of the most spectacular baseball players we have ever seen. He isn't necessarily the best hitter. He has certainly compiled one of the best seasons we've ever seen. But the fact that he could do this, and next year when he does get back on the mound, add to it high-level pitching, not the best pitcher, but high-level pitching, it's just incredible. At some point, I know I said this when he first started, that he was going to have to choose one. At some point down the road, I wouldn't be shocked if he did just be a hitter, right? Or maybe he becomes a reliever later in life, right? He plays the right field,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden he's your closer,
right? Switch it up.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all.
No,
it's certainly one way to save wear and tear on your arm by only pitching 70 innings a year. But it's one of the most remarkable things we've ever seen. Remember we talked to Rod Brindamore about Shohei Otani?
Yeah.
He said you'd have to, is there an equivalent in hockey? And his answer was no.
No.
Because you'd have to get somebody to score and then
be a goalie.
Then be a goalie.
In the net. Go find that.
That's just insanity.
Yeah.
So it's just a remarkable season that he's having. And I've heard people like, well, he's not a household name. He really isn't. Here, no, not as much. In Japan, oh yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
But playing on the West Coast hurts the overall marketing ability because more people live in the Eastern time zone than the other two time zones. So I get it. But he is still an unbelievable fascination and a tremendous ball player, a great hitter, and a really good pitcher. But we won't see that again until at least next year. But the Dodgers are going to be in the playoffs, and we're going to get a chance to see that in the playoffs. Real quick, Mets and Braves both won. Diamondbacks won. Padres won too, I think. So Padres' magic number over the Braves is now 4 because, assuming the Padres played yesterday, because the Padres own the tiebreaker with Atlanta. And Atlanta still trails the Mets and the Diamondbacks by 2 games in the loss column. And Atlanta has 3 games with the Mets remaining. As long as they can get to the series, which begins Monday in Atlanta. Monday in Atlanta? Yeah, I think Monday in Atlanta. As long as they can get to that series with within one game, if Atlanta takes 2 of 3 from the Mets, they will hold the tiebreaker individually over the Mets. And if the Diamondbacks, Braves, and Mets all finish tied, they will hold the 3-team tiebreak. So, because it all comes down to regular season record against each other. So Atlanta's in good shape in tiebreaker situations, but not so much if they trail the Mets and the Diamondbacks by more than 2 games.
Yeah.
So that's a big series in Atlanta starting next week. We'll spend some time talking about that then. But man, there have been a ton of blowouts. Mets scored 10 runs yesterday. They beat the Phillies 10-6. Atlanta scored a bunch. I think Atlanta scored 15 runs yesterday in Cincinnati to wrap up that series. So it should be a blast. Atlanta's got who are they playing? They are in Miami.
Yeah, playing the Marlins today.
So chalk them up.
Yeah.
3 wins.
It was 15-3 yesterday with the Reds.
Chalk up 3 wins for the Braves in Miami, while the Mets have 3 more games, although in Queens with the Phillies. That's the real focus, because I still think, push comes to shove, Atlanta wins the series 2 out of 3. And if they end up tied with the Mets at the end, Atlanta would get the last spot. All right, we'll come back. We'll stretch. We will place bets. Maybe baseball will play a role. Maybe not.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Everyone goes through tough times, and everyone can get through them, as long as they don't have to do it alone. Dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. Get what you need to get to a better place. Together, we'll find the care that works best for you. We're here 24/7. Call, text, or chat 988. 988. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Just because it's week 3 doesn't mean the season is over, even if your favorite team is 0-2. You can start the season anew with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. First, we're going to get you started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager, and you can get creative with it. You can make single-game parlays with as many legs as you want. You can bet money lines. You can bet point spreads. You can bet totals. Have some fun. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS and make every moment more this season. FanDuel.com/AGS for FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Some call it overplanning. At Alternative Power, we call it foresight. Be prepared for the next power outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Generac, it's not just a generator, it's a power move. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
You don't need a 4-year degree to have a rewarding career that makes a difference in people's lives every day. As a public power line worker, you'll build and maintain a locally owned and operated electric system to keep the lights on in your community. 4 months in a community college program provides the training you need to begin your career as an apprentice line worker in public power. And being a local government employee in North Carolina comes with excellent benefits. To learn more about line worker and other public power careers, visit electricities.com.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Jumpstart your retirement savings at WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Adam Gold.
Victoria, you played sports in high school, right?
Oh, yeah. Basketball, and I swam.
Could you imagine competing for $1 million?
No.
$1 million.
No. I competed for plastic trophies.
I was also a high school athlete, baseball player. No, and I could never even imagine it.
No.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Gold. Roundtable coming up next hour, and I can tell you that it will be a local takeover. An absolute local takeover. Pretty boys.
I know.
Yeah.
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 Definitely staying local.
Exactly.
In the Raleigh area.
We will do that coming up at about 2:15. Right now, it's time to stretch and then place bets.
So, to start things off with a baseball back in the day, little fact,
I like it.
Little fun fact. I saw this. This was 26 years ago, back in 1998. After a record of 2,632 consecutive games, it's not Burnsy from the Canes. Cal Ripken Jr. of the Orioles sat out against the New York Yankees, getting his first day off in 16 years.
Yep.
16 years. Him and Burns have a similar perfect attendance, like, niche.
It is, honestly, it's one of the most incredible things ever.
Yeah.
And I know that there are people, he shouldn't have played, he hurt his team, because there were years where Cal was not good offensively.
Mm-hmm.
And he always played, always felt like I'm better than whoever else you're going to put in, and he wasn't wrong. He did get lucky one day in that he probably had a sprained ankle that would have stopped him from playing. But it got rained out.
Oh, I see.
Game got rained out. That was not, I'll get us a rain out, Crash Davis and the crew when they turned all the sprinklers on.
Right.
It was a legitimate rain out in Baltimore, but I was at the two games where he tied the record and broke the record. I was working for WBAL in Baltimore at the time, and it's one of the best events I've ever covered.
Oh,
it was
fun.
Awesome to be there.
Yeah.
He homered in both games, by the way.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
What a record.
He did that.
Speaking of maybe like doing something fun, weekends, that's what they're made for. And there's an article that helps you basically make your weekend stretch out because they always fly by. Weekends always fly by. So they have tips on how you can make your weekend feel longer. And I'm all for it. So they suggest 4 tips. 1, do your weekend chores during the week. They also preface this by saying it's probably easier if you work from home. But they say by doing your, quote, chores during the week, then you don't have to worry about it on the weekend. That's all I do on the weekend, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Number 2, wake up early every day. Basically keep the same schedule that you have throughout the week. That's supposedly, good for you. I know.
Stop it.
I'm like catching up on sleep.
Get out of here with that.
Okay, I'm exhausted. I'm going to sleep with no alarm clock. But they say that it's a good idea to keep that going.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to them.
Exactly. I don't care about your opinion article. It says you get more of your day, of course, and, but then you're tired also. And number 3, they say make plans for Friday night. That way you get, like, the big stuff out of the way, and then you still have 2 full days. But, I don't know, by Friday you're exhausted, whatever. And then they say, last but not least, split your weekends between doing stuff and doing nothing. So they say basically do all the things you have to do in one half of it, and then the last half just do nothing.
I like that. We generally get to that part first.
Exactly. Let's do the do nothing part. But what we might do is place some good bets.
Hope so.
Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me.
I owe you nothing.
I got back on the win train Wednesday, but we only went 1 out of 3, and the win didn't equal the 2 losses. So,
right.
But we at least won 1.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling you to take all of them.
There you go.
But we had Mets and Braves combined each to win.
Yeah.
Was a plus number. So.
Hey, my Lazard came through, and I did take the under in the Jets yesterday, so that went through. That, just units, though.
Yeah. By the way, Jared Mayo, the head coach of the Patriots, said that Jacoby Brissett would be the starter this week.
Ah, okay.
So or next week, whenever.
Right.
So
sitting out Drake.
Yeah.
Well, all football bets for me this weekend because there's no UFC. I'm so sad, but there's football. So the Denver Broncos are going to be in Tampa Bay taking on the Buccaneers. I hate that they're good because they're in my Panthers division, but I think the Bucs are going to win this one, and I think it might be over the 40.5. So give me that. That's plus 140.
Yeah, I actually like the Bucs and the over as well there, but I'm not going to do it just yet. I'm going to give you 3 ACC games, right? Syracuse minus 8.5 tonight to beat Stanford. If Syracuse is good, and we think they're good, they should handle Stanford without too much trouble. I think Syracuse covers the 8.5. Louisville will cover the 10.5 against Georgia Tech. We got to have some teams that are really, really good in this league. I hope that Louisville is one of them. And South Florida plus 16.5 at home against Miami. Yeah, at some point Mario Cristobal is going to show up, and that is not good for the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Syracuse giving the points, Louisville giving the points, South Florida getting 16.5 from Miami at home, plus 635.
Okay, well, my next one, Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be in Buffalo taking on the Bills. I am not convinced that the Jaguars are awesome, so never been a Trevor Lawrence fan, but give me the Bills to win. I'm going to take the over in this one. It's set at 45.5, so Bills in the over is plus 160.
All right, I'm trying to decide which NFL game I want. There's a lot of good ones. I think the Chargers, are going to win in Pittsburgh, but let's go this way. Dallas is at home getting 1.5 from Baltimore. I think Dallas is going to win this game. Yeah. I'm a little concerned about Baltimore's defense. Dallas wins the game. Dallas plus 1.5, over 47.5, plus 231.
That's going to be a good one. Baltimore's got to win that one. My last one, though, Houston Texans are in Minnesota taking on the Vikings and Sam Darnold. Give me the hot Texans. They are on fire. I think it's going to be over 45.5, so that's plus 220.
All right, the biggest game, maybe the most important game of the entire Premier League season, at least the first one anyway. Arsenal is at Manchester City. I think that's going to end up in a draw, but we're not going there. I just wanted to mention that it's the biggest game of the year so far. Brentford wins at Tottenham, plus 460. Spurs are spiraling. Sorry to Spurs fans out there.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Move your sports day forward.
Full apologies, everybody, because the things that I talked about on Friday that these teams needed to do to win completely backfired. And the reality did not meet the expectations of these teams, Graham.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Ow. Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
This September, Diamonds Direct's ultimate offer is back, stronger than ever. Diamonds Direct helps you get the perfect jewelry gift with 0% interest. That's right, enjoy 5 years of 0% financing on any Diamonds Direct purchase. It's your chance to get her the perfect ring with 0 interest and comfortable monthly payments that fit your budget. But act fast. This offer ends September 30th. For details and more, visit DiamondsDirect.com. Spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest on approved credit. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with 0 experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Organize easy. Organize tough. Customize your work truck or van with upfit solutions from Van Products. Steel and aluminum shelving, toolboxes, data files, cabinets, drawers, conduit carriers, ladder racks, everything safe and secure. Everything built as unbreakable as you by Adrian Steel. Backed by the best warranty in the business. 3 years, 36,000 miles. Everything custom installed by Van Products so you know it's done right. From a single work rig to a fleet, choose custom installed upfit solutions from Van Products.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
It's Tim Donnelly for Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Hurry, sale ends September 30th, so schedule an in-home estimate at 866-90NATION or at windownation.com.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive.
So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces away into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Any win early in the season for the Jets is consequential. Think about what a hot mess they were last year. This is them proving to themselves that they can get it together, that they can be a functional franchise, that they can be a functional offense and have a functional quarterback. We have not seen this from the New York Jets in a long time.
I can't remember the last time the Jets... Now, functional offense I've seen. They were functional under Ryan Fitzpatrick. But good? I can't remember. I can't remember the last time the Jets had a quarterback that I went, man, that guy's good. It's been forever. Like, I think we're going back to Vinny Testaverde with the Jets.
Wow.
Bill Parcells was the Jets' head coach when Vinny Testaverde was the quarterback. So I think we're talking about the late 90s.
Yeah.
Mark Sanchez was functional when the Jets made the playoffs in the first 2 years of the Rex Ryan era, and Jets made it to the conference championship game in each year, but lost both of them, which not surprising. But that was just a functional offense because of the quarterback. It was certainly not, man, they're good. They have a chance to be good offensively. Didn't run the ball great last night. Ran it okay. But they need to have a better running game. Maybe that'll come up. I don't know. But we will do the roundtable coming up in about 15 minutes. Right now, Wall of Sound time.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
Start in Charlotte, shall we? Bryce Young. And he was removed as a starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers in favor of Andy Dalton. Here's Bryce on his new number one.
I love Andy. We're super close, and I love this team. I love my teammates. So it's not hard to root for them, to try to do everything I can to help, to play my role. To try to just be around to help in whatever way I can. So really, because of those factors, it's not hard to do.
His reaction to the news of his benching?
Not something that I was necessarily expecting. And obviously not something that was great to hear. But I respect Coach Canales. I respect the organization. Obviously, they made the decision, and it's on me to put them in that situation. So again, right now that's the situation that it is. So I have to do everything I can to help the team in whatever way I can.
We're going to move on in a second, but listening to Bryce yesterday, and he took full responsibility for it, even though I think there's a lot of blame to be passed around. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Blame last year, blame even this year. Why weren't they leaning into a running game more in weeks 1 and week 2? They didn't. And you could pretend that, well, the score dictated that against New Orleans. They weren't down 30-0 in the first quarter. They chose. They chose to throw on first down on the first play of the season in New Orleans. Didn't work out well. They made choices to balance their attack. I mean, If you think the other team is sitting on the run, then play action them. They don't really do that. Anyway, he could have done that. He could have said, not that he's going to blame anybody else, but he wore it yesterday. And I thought yesterday was the first time that Bryce sounded non-programmed. I don't know if that's a positive or not, but it was the first time that he sounded to me to not be programmed. This definitely impacted him. Whether or not he can ever be a Panther. By the way, we're not interested in trading him. Is any team interested in trading for him based on what they've seen and based on what you would want to in exchange for Bryce Young? Sure, they'll give you a 6th-round pick for him. You are not trading him for a 6th-round pick. So it's a silly thing to even talk about with Dave Canales or Dan Morgan or anybody. Ask David Tepper. All right, to last night's football game. Aaron Rodgers threw for nearly 300 yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns. He was dynamite with his legs. It was incredible. Here's Aaron on the offense.
Well, I would love to score on the first possession, but I felt like I don't think we had a 3-and-out all night. Sounds about right. So we were efficient offensively, good on 3rd down, spread the ball around a lot, ran the ball pretty well, pass protected pretty well. I moved out the spot a few times, halfway decent, so a lot of good things to build on from this game.
Yeah, halfway decent. He was outstanding on the move. Outstanding on the move. Jets actually, theoretically, scored on 4 straight possessions. One of them, though, was a missed field goal. They missed a 40-some-odd yard field goal right before the end of the first half. That they would have, it should have been 17-0 at the 17-3 at the half, as opposed to 14-3. What did Damian Woody see from Aaron Rodgers?
You saw everything. You saw the mobility, something that we hadn't seen, in the first couple games. You saw the pinpoint accuracy. You saw him just having complete command of the offense. Like, Scott, I just want to remind people, this Patriots defense is legit.
They were the first 2 games.
The first 2 games, and then Aaron Rodgers just sliced and diced, and he was just surgical tonight and completing passes to 8 different receivers. So he was just sharing the wealth with all the guys that they have on offense. And if this Aaron Rodgers continues to show up, this Jets team is going to be a contender.
Everybody's very excited. And I'm not blaming, if you're a Jets fan, I'm not blaming you for being excited. You haven't seen anything like this in a long, long time. Longest playoff drought in the NFL. The Patriots are bad. And it's not that I don't think the Jets offense can be good. I'm not sure how great the Jets defense is based on what I watched for 2 weeks, or didn't watch a ton of the game against Tennessee. Tennessee moved the ball. If Will Levis didn't act like the dumbest player in the history of the NFL.
So bad.
I think that game is very different.
Mm-hmm.
And Tennessee isn't that good. So just a little bit of control before you go out and buy in Jets playoff tickets. We talked about Shohei Otani before. He is a phenomenon. He is a unicorn. Buster Olney on a 50-50 season that is going to go down in history.
It's the greatest single-season performance of all time. For a player to demonstrate that kind of power over the course of a full season and have that kind of speed, I don't think any player has had a season like this for sure. I mean, certainly he's the first one to hit those milestones of 50-50, and I actually think it's the 2nd greatest feat in baseball history. You could talk about Babe Ruth hitting 60 homers in 1927 when no other American League team hit 60. Rickey Henderson stealing 130 bases. Nolan Ryan throwing 7 no-hitters in his career. Hembo would whine that Joe DiMaggio should be in there with his 56-game streak. I think the biggest feat of all time, the best feat of all time in baseball history is Ripken's consecutive game streak of 26-32. But Otani at 50-50, 2nd all time.
It's awesome. It's so hard to compare what Otani is doing to when players were not just resetting the record book. I brought up Ruth before. But, completely changing the game. Nobody had ever seen anything like what Babe Ruth was doing. Nothing. And he's the best comparison for Shohei Otani anyway, since Ruth, at least early in his career, also pitched. Now, he wasn't the prolific hitter while he pitched. That happened later. And Otani didn't pitch this year. Do both for me next year. I'm just kidding. He did it last year and was amazing. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We are going to have the roundtable. Pat Welter from WRAL TV5 and Chris Lee from WRAL TV5. I will ask them if either of them or both of them are wearing makeup. TV guys. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
Carolina wins it 47-45 in double overtime.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med, Sammy's Tap and Grill, and Roofworks.
For the final time, I am telling you, FanDuel has a great offer for you as we get into the football season. How about this? All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game, and all you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You can cancel at any time. Don't want to watch the Panthers and the Raiders? I don't blame you. How about the 49ers and the Rams? How about the Lions and the Cardinals? You have options. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Download America's #1 sports book today. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Where'd y'all go last week?
Well, we've been watching our budget.
So no going out?
Oh yeah, we're going out, just hitting all the specials. First, we hit the House of Hops. That's Jerome's favorite spot. Big savings on Monday and Wednesdays. Mix and match craft beer and 25% off on to-go growlers. Oh, it's a great place to relax.
You know, the Mix has some good specials and they're across the street.
You have to check out their wine tastings once a month and their live music schedule, plus $5 draft beer on Thursdays. Then Saturday, it's Salt and Lime Brunch, and Monday they have $5 margaritas.
Wait, what about Sharky's?
Oh, sweetie, you know Sharky's is special all the time.
So you're just going in a circle. House of Hops, Salt and Lime, the Mix, then Sharky's. House of Hops, Salt and Lime, the Mix, then Sharky's. Sounds like a vicious cycle.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a vicious cycle. More like a wonderful cycle.
Yeah, sounds like a cycle I need to be riding.
House of Hops, the Mix, Salt and Lime, and Sharky's. Definitely a cycle you should be riding. Hope to see you soon.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever. Overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control, we'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for President.
Pros, now's your chance to save big during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's.
Right now, save big on appliances like the GE Stainless Steel Kitchen Suite. Plus, save $40 on 5-gallon pails of Valspar Reserve, Valspar Defense, and Valspar Stain. Shop Pro Savings Days today for big savings on everything you need to get the job done right. Because Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 9/27 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
This is Adam Gold.
Thank you very much for your time, man. We will talk again.
Adam, anytime for you, my friend.
Thank you. I don't know why it makes me laugh. Why does that make me laugh?
I don't know. Maybe you just are used to people being mean to you or something, like Twitter. I don't know.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold, Victoria, producing the program. Big weekend of football ahead. We got State playing at Clemson in the first start for C.J. Bailey, a true freshman. Last State true freshman to start at Death Valley. If I'm not mistaken, Phillip Rivers. I'm hoping that C.J. Bailey can do better than Phillip Rivers. Not in terms of statistics, but Rivers didn't win that game. He played very well, but didn't win. Hopefully, hey, let's get a win. NC State, you're not favored. You're actually a pretty big underdog, but I wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for the Wolfpack to do that. So we got college football. Panthers are playing again because it is just week 3, and they really don't have a choice. And we got some other stuff to talk about. Let's do the roundtable. That's what we call it.
Camelot. It's only a model.
We are joined by Chris Lee at Chris Lee TV, WRAL TV5, co-host of the Panthers Playbook podcast, and Pat Welter, also of WRAL TV5, who, unlike Chris and I, doesn't have a podcast. Are you really? Do you really exist in this universe without your own dedicated podcast, Pat?
You know what? Well, maybe we just have to get one. They're calling me out on air. You know, I've been covering UNC Athletics in depthly here for 3+ years. Maybe it's time.
Here's what you do.
Taking over some of the Canes beat from Casey Hintz. So, yeah, we'll talk about that off air, I guess.
Here's what you do. Barge into the booth when you're done TVing it up after the Hurricanes home games and just sit in with me.
That would be a great start. You know, get some credibility, lean on, your intel. I think that's good.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, Pat and I could do it together. I don't have one either, Pat,
That's right.
so don't feel
Victoria
bad.
Also
we'll do it together.
I exude something. I don't know what. All right, let's talk a little bit about Bryce Young. I'll start with Chris. Chris enjoyed the fact that Pat. I think he enjoys that you don't have a podcast, Pat. Chris,
Pat needs a podcast. I want Pat to have a podcast. I love
it. Give him something else to do. Chris, your thoughts on the Bryce Young development? We'll just call it the development of Bryce Young, because there's a lot of ways to go, and I don't want to narrow it. So your thoughts on where we are?
This is so Carolina Panthers right now. There's some blame, of course, to be put on Bryce Young. A lot of the issue from last year was bad offensive line, bad receivers, and a scheme from a coaching staff who didn't get along with each other, and a scheme that really just quite didn't work. They've fixed at least a lot of that. The offensive line is 5th in the NFL according to PFF right now. And so that means he's had time to throw. It looks like people are getting open. He's just underthrowing them, overthrowing them, or just simply not getting it out. And so it's like there's a lot of blame to be put on Bryce, but then also this is a Panther thing. They've had 7 different starting quarterbacks since 2020. So what is it about being in that – what is it about that league that these quarterbacks do not play well? And then all of a sudden we've seen 2 guys, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. As soon as they get out, boy, they are balling. Baker Mayfield got traded on like a Thursday or whatever it was, and then like by Monday he was balling out for the Rams. And it was crazy to see that just stark change after such a bad start with the Panthers. So it's hard to just wrap this all up in one. I think there's a deeper conversation to be held, but there's something going on with Bryce. But then there's been something going on with the Panthers ever since David Tepper bought the team in 2018.
Pat, is it interesting to you as it is to me and probably a lot of other people that he has looked so much worse through 2 weeks this year than he did really at any point? And he didn't look great last year, but if he was playing similarly as he did a year ago, I don't think we're in this position yet.
And I think that's where you throw out the word confidence, because we're talking about the NFL here in airtight windows, and he just doesn't have the confidence in his own physical abilities to get the ball where it needs to be. He drops back, he looks around, and he either gets enveloped by a sack or scrambles and then points his fingers down the field and still gets enveloped by a sack. So I think, kind of going off what Chris said, I think two things can be true. And I think on social media, it's kind of people are like picking a side, like it's either the organization's fault or it's Bryce's fault. None of this is Bryce's fault. Two things can be true here. The team set him up to fail, and he didn't have the physical tools to succeed. And I will go ahead and say it right now. He is never going to succeed in the NFL. He doesn't have it, and it's okay. And I think they're making the right call here, moving on. It could have gone better. There could have been more support. But in a way, this is a blessing. You're not the New York Giants who've been tooling around with Daniel Jones for 5 years and paid him a contract and let Saquon Barkley go and are still going to have to draft the quarterback. Now you know he's not the guy. You can move on and start building your future, which, going off what Chris said, nobody's going to succeed here until they get some real infrastructure and some real talent on the roster.
Until they send David Tepper to the Bahamas during the season so he can stop getting in the way of the football people. So let me just follow up with you there. Those are strong words. Somebody who is well deserving of his own podcast, Pat Welter, WRAL TV5. Are you suggesting that you don't believe Bryce Young will be a Panthers starting quarterback, barring Andy Dalton injury, that we've seen the last of Bryce Young as a Panthers quarterback?
I mean, I think they made the move. I've seen people speculate, like, oh, was this a David Tepper decision overruling Canales to bench Bryce Young? I'm sure privately David Canales was dying to bench Bryce Young because his job's on the line here, too. This guy's never been a coach. He can't run an offense with this guy at quarterback. So I think this absolutely had to happen to at least just save the season, right? Like, you're 0-2, but it's not over yet entirely, right? You play him 2 more weeks, and you continue with a QBR rating of 8, unheard of numbers here. We're talking about a historic bust.
Yeah.
This is a massive scouting miss. One of the biggest of all time. In hindsight, couldn't look any more clear. He had magic at Alabama. I think that's what we saw and got enamored by, myself included. Like, okay, maybe he could be like Patrick Mahomes back there, scrambling, playmaking. To use David Tepper's words, a point guard. And it was just a massive miss by the whole football community, and I think we have to take the L. And you feel bad for Bryce because, football aside, he is a very nice, genuine person from what we've seen with the media and the way he's interacts with people. So you just feel bad for him. It's a sad story.
Chris Lee, I'm going to follow up this way. I'm not even sure what we're saving at this point because I'm not sure that Andy Dalton playing at the top of his game is going to produce more than, 4 wins with this team. But your thoughts on Bryce being potentially done, unsalvageable, unfixable, and that the Panthers need to move on now from Bryce?
It's one of those things like I'm going to give you a non-answer, and that's mainly because of the organization that we're working with. Because you just don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what they're going to go for. In the first year of the Matt Rule era, we saw, where Teddy Bridgewater actually played okay, and the team was in a lot of games. They just lost a lot of games late, and there were some obvious things that they needed to do. And you kind of look at it, if they were just a little bit more patient with Teddy Bridgewater, and you just don't start giving up draft picks to acquire other quarterbacks who are other teams' trash at that point, then you have more draft picks to put around Teddy Bridgewater to also then eventually get the quarterback that you needed for the future, to use him literally as a bridge over your troubled waters of the Carolina Panthers. So it's I don't know when it comes to Bryce Young. I don't know if I wouldn't go as far as Pat and say he's a complete bust, because the success right now we're seeing from Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield has me thinking that there's something going on at 800 South Mint Street in Charlotte where once you get away from it, you just start balling. And it's not just quarterback, it's also cornerback. We've seen that there. We also edge rusher and Mr. Hassan Reddick, who hasn't shown up for the Jets yet, or just other people who've just been there and then all of a sudden they look good elsewhere. So, I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen with Bryce? I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up coming back at some point to start this year for the Panthers, whether it's because of Dalton's health or his play style. But after this year, I really have no clue what to think, and mainly because you never know what David Tepper is going to think. He pretty much blows with the wind at all points. So it's kind of like trying to predict that is like trying to predict the stock market.
A former producer here, Alec Campbell, and it's one of the great lines ever, David Tepper is the moth to the light. So when the light, boom, there's the moth. That's where David Tepper goes. Now, Chris, are you suggesting that whether it's Teddy Bridgewater or Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold, that when they leave the Panthers organization, they're feeling groovy? That just plays off of your Simon and Garfunkel joke before. Chris Lee and Pat Welter are joining us from WRAL TV5 here on the Roundtable. All right, let's move on to college football. What has to happen, Pat, for NC State? I'm not going to say what has to happen for them to win, because it starts with getting this game into the fourth quarter when it's close. So what has to start for that to happen? What has to happen for State for them to be in it to win it in the fourth?
One thing I heard, Dave Doran talk about from last week's game, that he was standing, straddling the line of scrimmage. And I remember Urban Meyer used to do this too, where you see like the cutaway to the coach on the sideline, and he's kneeling down and like staring down that line. You're like, well, that's a cool shot. What are they doing? Well, it's because they're looking at how both teams are winning the push at the line of scrimmage. And that's where it starts for NC State. And that's where it always starts with Clemson. Like, we can give them a hard time about their skill positions the last few years, their lack of acquiring talent in the transfer portal, but they still win at the line, especially the defensive line. And as much as we want to make the story about them, about their quarterback, and C.J. Bailey certainly is an interesting new wrinkle to this season, but it starts with the offensive line. And, yeah, C.J. Bailey, a true freshman, might be able to go in and play successfully against Louisiana Tech, but against Clemson on the road at Death Valley, your first college start, you better hope you get some blocking time.
See, I personally think it's about running the football. If they can run the football effectively enough, I think they'll have a chance. I'm still not sold on Clemson's offense. Thoughts on this, Chris Lee?
I think for NC State to have a chance, I liked what I saw in C.J. Bailey after he settled down. We saw the early interception when he came in and a few little mistakes, but after he settled down, he looked well. But that was against Louisiana Tech, right? But honestly, I'm not as worried about the offense as I am about the defense. NC State normally has a top defense in the ACC, and right now they've given up the most yards in the ACC, and especially against two smaller programs in Western Carolina and Louisiana Tech, who are a part of that. Of course, Tennessee had a huge part of that.
Yes.
But, to see them and see them at the very bottom as far as their defensive rankings right now in the ACC is a little strange to me, especially with how well that defense has been played over the last few years. So I'm really worried that, going to Pat's point, at the line of scrimmage, if they're just going to get pushed around, all Clemson really has to do is just hand the ball off, control the line of scrimmage, control time of possession, and you walk out of there with a win. Just don't forget C.J. Bailey starting in his first big college game at Death Valley. Don't let him have the ball.
Yeah.
If you don't let him have the ball and you play keep away, because this defense hasn't really shown that they can really do anything, I mean, that's an easy win right there for Clemson. So I'm really more so worried about NC State's defense at this point.
It's interesting is that because I agree. I'm not sure what Clemson is offensively. I know they destroyed App, which apparently isn't that hard if South Alabama could do it at Kid Brewer Stadium. I'm still baffled about what happened last night. I'm not even going to lie and say I was able to check it out because I was not. But I just know 49-14 says that was an ambush. But but I don't know what Clemson is offensively. I do know that they couldn't stay on the field against Georgia and got completely worn out. So it does come down to, for me, can you run the ball and keep the ball? You don't even have to score a lot. If you can run the ball and stay on the field a little bit offensively and scratch out 17 to 20 points, I think that keeps you in the game in the fourth quarter, because I don't know that Clemson is all that great offensively. I think Georgia just wore them out and destroyed them in the second half. All right, final thing, some positivity, because we do have a 6-year running playoff streak with the Carolina Hurricanes. I know, Pat, I saw you out there yesterday. What is your level of optimism? Because, I mean, I'm probably too close to it. What's your level of optimism about the Hurricanes?
Well, I think, expectations are dangerous because we anchor ourselves to them, and then in a way things kind of flip. Like, we just got finished talking about NC State, and they were this playoff dark horse, and now they're scratching and clawing week to week here. So
right.
Expectations get thrown out the window as soon as you, on this example, hit the ice. And yeah, last year was like the year for Carolina. That came with a lot of pressure. That came with a lot of veteran voices in the locker room, and that had its strengths. But it also has its weaknesses. And, Eric Tolsky's kind of selling this offseason as, yeah, we had to let some guys go, but this opens some opportunities for some young guys to step in and make some plays and to gain opportunities to take another step. And I think, Carolina's going to make this leap with the core that they have. Sebastian Aho is your best player, Andrei Svechnikov at forward. They're going to need to find another star. And I don't know if that's going to happen this year, but it's going to have to happen from within, I think. And I think of, I'm a Penguins fan growing up, and I think of how that team and that core topped out with Sidney Crosby. So we thought. But Jim Rutherford came in from Carolina and kind of retooled the organization through the draft, through Wilkes-Barre Scranton, and they get Jake Gensel, they find another goaltender, and they win a couple cups.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think maybe that starts this year for Carolina. I don't know if a guy like Bradley Nadeau is ready to make that leap now, but there are some exciting young players. Martin Necas on a bridge deal. Jack Drury, there's a lot of people expecting things from him this year. So I'm intrigued, and I'm not going to just by default say they're not going to be as good or better just because they lost guys like Brady Shea and Brett Pesce in free agency.
Chris, wouldn't you like to just come out and just bask in the glow of a winning franchise?
Absolutely. I think this is still potentially a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I don't think they're having home ice advantage in the first round like they have in the last few years. So I think that's going to be a little bit different. And I wouldn't be surprised if they struggle in areas that we hadn't seen them struggle in before during the regular season during this year. But I think this is a situation where they're going to take a step back to take a couple more steps forward. This is now officially Aho, Svech, and Seth Jarvis's team. Like, those guys are going to have to learn how to kind of pick it up, and also not only just pick it up during the regular season, but when they get that postseason chance, like, you're the guys that we're going to count on to really do the scoring. Some of those guys can get quiet in the postseason, which is part of, why the seasons kind of end the way they did for the Carolina Hurricanes. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. I agree with Pat with the fact that it's going to probably need to be another star emerge, whether that comes from free agency or, just from what the Canes already have in their toolbox already. And we'll see what ends up happening from there. But I'm curious from you, Adam. You're the insider. Like, what are your thoughts on this? I need to know what you're thinking.
I think they're a playoff team. I think if Andrei Svechnikov gets to where he's supposed to be and Martin Necas joins him, I think they'll compete at the top of the league. I think their style is conducive to winning. Now, that doesn't necessarily translate to playoff wins because you still need guys to put the puck in the net in games which are generally lower in scoring. You got to get to, the cliche is dirty areas. But I'm bullish on the improvement of Necas and Svechnikov. And then who else emerges? You mentioned Jack Drury. They need something more out of Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who really spent the last 5 months of the season in witness protection. So they need more out of them. I'm not anticipating a rookie makes the team. because it's a challenge to do what Rod Brindamore wants you to do, and those guys have to play up in the lineup. If there was a rookie who you could put on a fourth line, yeah, that'd be fine. I don't think they have one of those. So if any of their rookies that you'd want to see make the team need to play in a scoring situation, and I think the Hurricanes are going to have 2 scoring lines and 2 defensive-minded lines, and I just think it's going to be tough for one of those rookies to be able to play that way. But I hope to be proven wrong. And as we close with Chris Lee and Pat Welter, and I know you guys are late for a meeting. I apologize. I hate meetings. Who wears more makeup? TV guys always wear makeup.
I don't wear any makeup, honestly, because it makes me break out. So the automatic default.
Yeah. Well, Chris, you have great skin. I'll just tell you that. I know you. I've seen you. You have dynamite skin. I would need makeup. Pat, do you wear makeup?
I mean, people will see me. It's always really awkward. Like, I'll just be in like a press room somewhere having a conversation with a writer while I'm putting on my makeup, like I'm just chewing a piece of gum. But if I don't, I look kind of red and blotchy.
No.
So I don't have great skin. I need a little something to even it out.
Oh my gosh! Why did I do that to you? You deserve a podcast. Pat Welter.
I'll save that for the podcast.
Pat Welter and Chris Lee. Thank you guys so much for doing this.
Pat Welter. Cool, thank you.
All right, get to the meeting. They're 5 minutes late for a meeting. All right, when we come back, we will rewind here on the Adam Gold Show. Pat said a couple of things, though I want to just kind of dig into a little bit about Bryce Young. Next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Last call. This offer is almost over. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon at a market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. FanDuel.com/AGS. Download America's #1 sportsbook today. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook for a reason. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
When the power goes out, your life is disrupted. Heat, air conditioning, refrigeration, phones, all gone. Be prepared for the next outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Power your life with a Generac home standby generator. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
Everyone goes through tough times, and everyone can get through them, as long as they don't have to do it alone. Dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. Get what you need to get to a better place. Together, we'll find the care that works best for you. We're here 24/7. Call, text, or chat 988. 988. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
You don't need a 4-year
4-year degree to have a rewarding career that makes a difference in people's lives every day. As a public power line worker, you'll build and maintain a locally owned and operated electric system to keep the lights on in your community. 4 months in a community college program provides the training you need to begin your career as an apprentice line worker in public power. And being a local government employee in North Carolina comes with excellent benefits. To learn more about line worker and other public power careers, visit electricities.com.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
We gather together in communities across the nation to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use 2 screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch 2 games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry, I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. First of all, Pat Welter should have his own podcast. I don't care what he talks about. He was decisive. There was no wishy-washiness about him.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree.
No. Well, I actually do disagree with a couple of things he said, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. I'm not necessarily right. I don't think that Bryce Young is incapable. And Pat clearly does, and he may ultimately be right. To this point, he is definitively correct. Because the best of Bryce, and who would have ever thought we would have said this, was like week 14 last year. The game against the Green Bay Packers. He was great. I mean, legitimately, I think he threw for over 300 yards. Second most passing yards of the season last year, behind week 3, when Andy Dalton threw for over 300 yards in a loss at Seattle. But I do think that Bryce was broken by last season, and the little things that maybe you notice in hindsight, in retrospect. So, in this past game against the Chargers, there was time to throw, and what have I been saying about Bryce? Is that he stares at the rush. He's looking for pressure. Because last year, that's all he had. And this is where, and this is not about, I said this. This is what can happen when you put a quarterback, a young quarterback, who maybe, because of his size, he has an uphill to climb anyway to achieve the level of success that would otherwise be easier if he were 6'2" or 6'3". And Bryce is not. He's 5'10". But Bryce was under siege all last year and still made some really good throws with nobody to throw to. He had one option. It was only Adam Thielen. Nobody else was worth anything last year. This year, that's different. He has Thielen. He has Deontay Johnson, whose name I've been misspelling consistently for a month and a half.
Oh, no. Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just way off. I'm like 3 letters off. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
So he's got those, and then he's got Xavier Liggett. He hasn't been great, but that's an option. Mingo's been okay, not nearly. We thought he'd hit the ground running and he'd be much better. Not really. Running backs out of the backfield, they ain't that good. The tight ends really haven't. It was complete. The tight end, the new tight end from Texas, completely forgetting his name right now because we have barely heard it. But Sanders, JT Sanders. So the guys that they have used that he has at his disposal are better, but it's still probably the worst group of skill position pass targets in the NFL. With all of that said, he has dramatically gotten worse. But I do think part of it is last year he was constantly under siege, and that's what he was taught. And this year, and we've noticed it, I said so even on the drive in which they scored in the preseason, the one drive against Buffalo's uniforms that they in their one series of the preseason, I said it then. If we go back and listen to the tape, my only problem with the series was there were times where Bryce stared at the rush rather than drop back, be confident that you can spend 2.5 seconds in the pocket and deliver the football. That's really all you're going to get. And then it looked to me like he's still looking at the line as he is dropping back. You can make whatever excuse you want for that. Well, it's because he's small. I think that he was small in the SEC 2 years ago.
He was. Probably smaller.
Maybe. Right? Like half of that league that play the games that Bryce is in, half of that league is going to the NFL. They might not all be stars, but so many of those guys play in the league. And Bryce was super successful as a little guy in a big league. So, and Adam Thielen said it the other day, his problem has nothing to do with being small. It's an element to what his problems are. But if that were the case, then the last two coaching staffs, if they were worth anything, would have moved the pocket around. They would have gotten him out into space to take advantage of those things that he does well, which throw on the run. But they did not determine that we need to move the pocket so this, Lilliputian can play quarterback in the league. They didn't do that. That's either coaching malpractice or they didn't feel like it was a problem. Again, I'm not saying it's not a factor at all. I just think that of the things that we have seen from Bryce, being 5'10" isn't on the short list of the issues. I think playing last year definitely impacted him in a bad way. And it got worse this year because even when he was not pressured, he created pressure. The play where Adam Thielen got frustrated on the sideline.
Right.
That was the sack that Bryce ran into. He could have taken one step up in the pocket. He wasn't really pressured, but there was a rusher that came beyond him. He could have taken one step up into the pocket, and it was perfect, and delivered the ball. But no, he saw the rush because he's looking at it, and it comes from the right-hand side in his line of vision. If that rusher was on his backside and he didn't see it, he wouldn't have moved. But it was in his line of vision, so he moved, and he moved away from that rusher into another, and he got sacked. Yes, there are guys open, but also when you watched him play, and this is what I saw in the game against the Chargers. There was a pass to Tommy Tremble over the middle. Tremble wasn't wide open, but he was open. The throw was good, but it was not good enough, and the defender was just able to get a hand in and knock the ball away. It was in front of Tremble, but it was in front of him in the frame of his body. If you throw it in front of Tommy Tremble, the defensive back cannot get to the ball. It's a completion and a first down. But watching the play, you could tell Bryce was kind of guiding it a little bit. He doesn't have the confidence to just let it rip. The third down pass to Deontay Johnson, which Bryce threw late, but also I think Deontay Johnson didn't run a great pass route. He rounded off the out route as opposed to making a sharp cut and even coming back towards the line to gain because he was well beyond it. The rare time where the Panthers tried a third down pass that exceeded the line to gain. And Deontay Johnson could have made a sharper cut and been even more open, but the pass was delivered late. And that is about trust. Bryce didn't trust either himself or the receiver to be open, where if you watch the San Francisco 49ers, this is what Brock Purdy does better than almost every quarterback in the league. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy is the best quarterback in the league by any stretch of the imagination, but Brock Purdy throws to where he thinks the receiver is going to be. So he gets that ball out early, and because they've worked on this and he trusts the receivers, he releases the ball before receivers make their cut. This is the way it used to be done. And it's the way that very few quarterbacks do it today because the college offenses have nothing to do with pro offenses. They are not the same animal. It's almost not the same sport. But Purdy understands timing. And I think Bryce Young does as well, but he doesn't trust himself yet. And part of that is everything that happened last year where nobody was open except guys named Adam Thielen, and they don't yet have the ability or the stomach to run the ball and give him enough room. That's my read on Bryce Young. I don't think he is finished as a quarterback, but I do think he may be finished here. So if you're the Panthers and we get to this, we're not interested in trading him. Are you telling me that if a team, I don't care who it is, if a team came at you and said, we will give you a first-round pick for Bryce Young, are you telling me you wouldn't make that deal in a minute? Of course you would. Of course you would. It doesn't make a difference what you gave up before. I would argue that if you were the Panthers and a team offered you a third-round pick, you would make that deal in a minute. But right now, based on what we've seen, you're not getting a third-round pick. You're probably getting what the Jets got for Zach Wilson. Because through 18 NFL games, Bryce Young looks like he can't play. This is organizational failure as well as Bryce Young playing very poorly. No doubt about it. All right, let's get into a quick rewind. I rambled. All right, Bubba Cunningham joined us earlier, and I asked him, because there is this conversation between the ACC, Clemson, Florida State, about revising the way they distribute revenue to put a little bit more dollars in Clemson and Florida State's pocket so they'll stop whining, stop suing, and stay in the league at least for another half dozen years. I asked Bubba how he feels about that.
You know, I do think it is, I have to admit, it is a bit unfortunate that we have moved away from more of a collegiate or collegial model in college athletics. You know, I think I've referenced this a number of times. I thought one of the really, really good decisions that the NCAA made, gosh, it's probably 25 years ago now, was when they signed the $1 billion basketball contract, 50% went into participation in the tournament, and the other half went into sports sponsorship and scholarships that you award. And I thought that was a really good message, and it was a distribution of the income into values that we thought were important. What we've evolved to in the last 25 years is a society that really values, if I generate the money, I should get it. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is, that if you have a brand that's significant, that the money should flow to you. And the challenge with that is you have fewer elite teams and fewer elite players when you do that. I know it's socialism, not capitalism. When you spread the money out and create competitive equity, you have more competitive equity when you also have financial equity. And so this is moving in a professional model. So while I don't think it's a great thing for college athletics in general, it's the direction we're headed, and we're going to be fully supportive of it because I do believe that we do have one of the best brands, we have one of the best programs, and we will receive the benefit of that type of revenue distribution model.
I mean, the truth is that North Carolina probably would stand to benefit from it, especially when you consider men's basketball, even though basketball is really, 1/5 of the value of the media distribution money. There's a value to being at the top of that list. Duke will get some benefit out of that as well. There are inherent biases in dealing with television ratings. For instance, games on the ACC network are not rated. Just not. It's not a rated network. SEC network isn't a rated network, I don't believe. So games on the ACC network won't receive TV ratings. So just using ratings is not the right way to do it, but it's part of an overall formula. And you could get somebody to determine branding and value and things like that who are experts in that field. But yeah, Florida State and Clemson, as long as they're good and playing high-level, attractive football, they'll be able to benefit from that, which frankly is okay. I don't think it'll get them all the way to where they want to be, though. Victoria, good luck to your Panthers.
Oh, thank you.
All right, have a good weekend. We'll see everybody Monday. We'll get one day closer to a Hurricanes game. See ya.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold here.